Welcome, my gentle and, of course, very modern apes, to another episode of Chewed Gum. I'm here as your primary host this evening with Taylor. It is, it is August 8th, 2025. Taylor, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
You know, I'm doing all right. You might be able to hear it, but keeping with the theme, the powers that be get a little angry when I do these kinds of shows because it always storms when I'm on the line in general. You know, I get the lightning bolts thrown down. I don't know if you heard about this, Taylor, but one of my most memorable experiences here on the line was when I had a tornado warning for like 30 minutes in the middle of the show, and I just picked my laptop up and went down to my laundry room with my laptop and sat and did the show from my laundry room. It was horrible. It turns out lighting is much more important than you might think, than I thought, to not look like a ghoul on this show. But that's just for me.
You said with your lighting, like specific. Yeah, I had to buy I think 8 different ring lights to get lighting. So I feel your pain. Nothing worked, and now I have like a total of 3. So I feel that pain.
For sure. And it's like I still am not good at it. I'm not good enough at anything production related. Yeah, it's like it's trial and error, and sometimes I show up like an Eldritch Horror, and the other time then I show up so I look like a regular person. So you know, it's a coin flip. But this is the first time we've ever hosted together. This is a pleasure. I'm so glad to finally.
I know, I'm excited.
We were talking about this beforehand, but like the two of us were talking about shows and other hosts that we hadn't had the pleasure of doing a show with, and so it's nice to check another person respectively off one another's lists.
Yeah.
So today for Chewed Gum, right? I was just checking the title. It looks like the title is called "Do Women Need Christ?" So that's an interesting title. That's I think more in the vein of the type of thing that you do. I tend to do like the more sciencey style questions, but this is nice because, like I was saying beforehand, now we've got a nice mix of hosts to answer a nice mix of questions. We have a couple of people already waiting on the line, so we can get to those here in a minute. But I'd like to first give like a nice hearty call out to anybody out there who feels that religion is necessary for women to thrive or makes the lives of women across the world better, or who, if you want to make my day, have questions regarding like what role is natural for women. That's a conversation that I like to have that I haven't gotten to have as many times as I would like here on the line, because I hear this a lot. You may have heard this kind of thing too, Taylor, but it's like, people will be like, well, it's the natural order of things. I would love for
Right.
someone to call and ask about that. Tell me how it's the natural order of things for women to be subservient. I think that would be a really fun question to tackle from the perspective of human evolution and primatology. But I want to hear first from you. What kind of calls? Give your pitch to the audience. Who are you calling out and saying to come meet us in the marketplace of ideas?
Well, every time I'm on here, I tell my TikTok audience who loves to argue, like Christians in my comments who love to argue, I tell them to call in, and you guys never do. So I'm hoping you do today because I post to my story every time to let you guys know if you want to argue, I am here for you. And I usually go live on my TikTok to let you guys know that too, to call in at night. So I hope some of you decide to call in because I've been waiting for you.
You know, I've had a similar problem, and I know some of the other hosts. Forrest and I were complaining about this last time we were on together. But it's like there are a lot of people out there that are all talk. You know, they're very happy to show up in a
Yeah,
comment and rant and rave about how right they are, and then we give them this perfect opportunity to call in and make
right.
their case. And you know, this is my first time hosting with you, but I don't think you bite. I don't bite. You know, we'll be nice. Call in and like
No.
let's talk it
Yeah,
out.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I even get called out by a lot of people saying I don't debate people, but then when given the opportunity, they don't come on. So I'm waiting. I'm waiting for them.
Please. I would love more than anything to have a debate night here with you tonight. For somebody to call and debate us on, I don't know, what's your favorite
Yes,
kind of
me
call to
too.
get? What's your favorite topic?
Hmm. I do feel like literally maybe it's boring, but yeah, the purity culture stuff is pretty fun to me and just kind of people who say why like I guess I should believe and just the basics is fun. It really never gets old for some reason for me. So I just
So
love having those conversations.
do you come from a background that was like heavily into the purity culture thing? Again, this is our first time being on together, so we had like a couple of
Yeah.
minutes because I was extraordinarily early today. I showed up 10 minutes beforehand, which is I'm getting closer to the preferred 15 minutes early. But like we were just exchanging a little bit about one another, so like purity culture, give me
Yeah.
your light.
Yeah, I should mention also I like to have conversations surrounding the like Christian nationalism is what I talk about the most on my channel, so I really like conversations about that. But I talk about that the most because I grew up in a culture that's very like Christian nationalist evangelical, like what I think is causing the most problems in the country today. So I feel like it's really relevant and important to be talking about that stuff. But very much like I got to watch the transformation of the evangelical movement with Trump and like how that transformed and how it I feel like it was a breaking point for a lot of people of either starting to question what you believe or like digging your heels in and being like I'm in this for the long haul no matter what. And I was one of those people who was like, ew, what's happening?
Yeah.
I need to figure out what's going on because I'm getting really worried. So I was definitely one of those people that like not that that caused me to be atheist, but that it was the starting point of like, what am I a part of? Why am I a part of this? I don't think I want to be a part of this. And then later on, getting to the point of being atheist, but yeah, that's definitely a summary of that.
Man, gosh, it's been about coming up on a year, not quite a year yet, but I did this series of videos on my channel about a year ago on the Moscow Christchurch cult and like Doug Wilson and like Christian nationalism up there.
Mhm.
And it was right before the election, so it was a really bad time to be getting that flavor in my mouth and then seeing what happened after the election. But it was like I remember
Right.
when I was researching it, I was like talking to my mom about it, and I was like, "Mom, like you are not going to believe the amount of like absolute whack jobs out there that are promoting this marriage of church and state as if it is not just something that was outlined by like the people who founded the United States, but also that's like divinely inspired and like all this crazy stuff." And then it's like I guess I mean, I think like many people, I anticipated the election going a different way than it went. But what I really didn't
Yeah.
expect was how far that pendulum was going to swing, and how many people, a lot of them Christian nationalists, took the election as license to run wild with that kind of ideology. It's been
Yeah.
real scary. It's been real spooky.
Yeah. And it's crazy because like if you don't grow up around that stuff, a lot of people are like, "Oh, these are there aren't many people who are like this extreme or whatever." Unfortunately, that's
That's
like
what I
just
thought.
not the case. Yeah, exactly. And sometimes like people get on me of being like, "Oh, this isn't as big of a problem as you think it is." I'm like, "No, it's a bigger problem than you think it is." Like that, at least that's my
Right.
opinion. So,
I
yeah.
I'm so big on like big tent right now too, for like we need as many people fighting against Christian nationalism as possible. Like I've been delighted to see some creators, religious and irreligious alike, who have come out and been like, all right, like this is not okay. This is not acceptable. And I've also seen a lot of creators, you know, who I was at least aware of, never really a fan of, but aware of, who have come around and basically been like, well, you know, we can overlook this Christian nationalism thing if it means pushing our ideology forward. Like
Right.
it's remora
Right.
on our movement, but who cares? And then it's like, dude, I'm really sorry, but there's no excusing this. Like if you don't
Right.
stand up against it, what will you stand up for? You know?
Right, and it's just getting worse, so that's
Mhm.
fun. So I never run out of things to talk about because every day is another crazy thing where they're trying to, not have separation of church and state. So unfortunately, I never get bored. There's
Yeah,
too much to talk
yeah.
about.
It's a yeah, it's a bad problem, or I guess it's a good problem to have from one very small avenue, right? And then from
Right.
every other
Right.
avenue, it's worst
Yeah, it's
possible
horrible.
situation. So,
Yeah,
well,
I agree.
we have a couple of people waiting. I don't know if you have do you have Call in Studio pulled up? Can you see who we've got waiting
Yes.
here? I think we just start
Yes.
up top and go down the list. How's that sound to you?
Yeah, that works
All
for
right,
me.
let's do it. We're going to start with our first caller, William, pronouns they, them. William is an atheist from Arkansas. William, you are on Chewed
Yay!
Gum. I don't know if you're on Skeptalk, but you're on Chewed Gum with Erika and Taylor. First of all, welcome. Second of all, tell us a little bit about your question.
Well, I don't know if I've forgotten her name. Skeptical Heretic. I don't remember your name.
Taylor,
Besides that, but I'm
Taylor.
gonna go with that. Taylor. Thank you.
you
Yep.
got it. No
Brain
problem.
did a fart. Meds have worn off. I don't know if you have a science background, but obviously, Erika does. And there's a lot of, like, at least past, and I don't know how prevalent it is now, like, in modern day, of, like, women scientists just not being, in any way, treated with, I guess, with what I would say, any form of respect.
Hang on. William.
Woman brain
William.
heart, basically, is the best way I can think that people think.
William.
So I was just wondering if there's like
I don't know. Maybe William can't hear you. Hey, William, can you hear us? Sorry to interrupt you.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, cool.
Not
Perfect.
Taylor.
Okay, perfect. I just wanted to say real quick, you're coming in a little bit like staticky. Sometimes that happens when people hold the phone like a little too close to their mouths. Do us a solid just so we can hear you crystal clear. Hold that phone like 6 inches, a foot away from your face. That's okay.
Well, actually, I'm on a headset. Is that better?
That's a lot better. Whatever you're doing right now, keep doing that, and then don't start from the top, but start like 10 seconds in. So you're giving us your sort of question here.
Okay. Yeah, just basically, what are issues that women are that you, Erika, being a woman in science, and I don't know about Taylor, if she has a science issue background at all, any kind. What are issues that women in science are facing, and what should be known? Because as far as I know, it's still kind of a man's world, but not as much.
I think that's an awesome question. I'm very fortunate in that my field is biological anthropology. So I study human evolution, and before that it was primatology. That's what I got my master's in, and then before that it was pre-vet, which is also heavily dominated by women. In fact, what's interesting about veterinary science is the second women were allowed in, it immediately started inverting as far as who was represented in the field, and now it's approximately 80% women, I believe, which coming from, I mean, from my perspective on that is that it's like, I would like to see as close to 50-50 in a lot of these fields as possible, but at the same time, you can't decide who chooses to go into what, and there are generalizations in preference that people might have, and so maybe that's the reason why we see some of these biases here and there. But biological anthropology is cool because for whatever reason, and I think a lot of it had to do with just the nature of field work in general, but like a lot of your early paleoanthropologists were women. Actually, really all of your early primatologists were women. Jane Goodall and Biru Galdikas and Diane Fossey. The Leakeys, of course, were in paleoanthropology. You had Sarah Hurdy.
Hello, can I still be heard?
Well, that's not good.
Like my video froze out, but it looked like mine did. Anyways, the bottom line is that women are well represented in my field. But that being said, that doesn't change the attitude of a lot of people in science generally, and in academia generally, I would say as well, because it was a male-dominated arena for so long, and women had to fight and scrap just to get a seat at the table.
Academia, anyway.
Higher academia, of course. That's what I'm talking about in general here, just from my own experience. Fortunately, women have been sort of fighting for that seat, and not just fighting for that seat, but also fighting to be heard in the room. So it's really been fun to watch at some of these conferences that I'm at now. A lot of the older individuals are men because it's only been a recent flip in biological anthropology, and a lot of the younger individuals are women. And so it's interesting to go to these conferences and see all these like older guys, maybe intentionally, maybe not intentionally, but sometimes like talking over these younger colleagues who just won't put up with it anymore. I think that if you're a woman in academia, the best advice that I can give is do good work and don't apologize for being heard. Don't apologize for stating your opinion, because your opinion comes as a scientist first and as everything else second. So it matters in and of itself, and it should matter to your advisor. I would also say be careful when you're picking an advisor. Make sure that if you're going into academia, you're picking someone to work under and people to work with who are going to respect you, not because you can't do it otherwise, but because it's just getting a degree of any kind is hard enough. Let alone fighting against the tide of people who don't take you as seriously as they should. I would say too, a lot of the misogyny that is still in academia is sort of it's less institutional and it's more cultural. So it's people are less likely to take you seriously. For example, if you dress really feminine at conferences or when you're giving your presentation, a lot of makeup, like that's just the way that it is. And again, people are fighting against that. But my advice would be, just generally speaking, if you were a woman trying to get into this kind of thing, have confidence in yourself that the tide is turning, it's turning slowly, but if you do good work, and we're watching this sort of coalition of younger people, men and women and both in between alike, coming up and replacing this older generation, I think we're going to continue to see positive progress there. I was just like rambling about my experience, but I don't know. I'm fortunate because this is silly, but like it matters a little bit, like also how much space you take up. So I'm like, I tell everybody I'm like 7 stories tall on here. So we'll go. I'm tallish for a woman, and so when I'm at these conferences, a lot of times I'll stand broad and like take up as much space as possible, and I have to watch myself because I find myself at like unintentionally trying to lower my voice so I'll be heard more and taken more seriously. And it's like I shouldn't have to pitch shift for people to hear me, So I try to catch myself in some ways and also to weaponize my presence in others. Not because I think that women are like better than men or deserve to be heard more. I just think everybody with a good idea should have their idea taken seriously at face value and shouldn't be diminished because of who they are.
Agreed. Obviously.
Taylor, thoughts?
I not being a woman or,
I was just going to ask you if you think more women getting into those fields, if you think that's part of, do you think part of men, like conservative men pushing back so hard against like women going to school and going to college, do you think that scares them, that these fields, like, more women are in them, and sometimes just as much as men, or if not more.
It's interesting because there's a name for it, but I forget what it's called. I was reading about it the other day, but there's this phenomena where, like, the more women come into a field, you see it sort of compounds on itself, and then men also leave at a similar rate. So it's almost as if and I don't know if this is cultural for here specifically in the States, or if other nations have a similar problem, but there's this, like, gender flight in fields where once women enter it, men start to see it. I don't know if this is what's happening. This is me speculating, but I think men start to see the field itself as more feminine. And so they don't want to be perceived as feminine, and so they leave. This is argued to be in part what's going on in higher education right now. But I also think that part of why higher education is so skewed towards women is because women, I don't know how it was with you. I mean, I think my parents were very about as encouraging as parents can be growing up. I'm super fortunate for that. But most women that I know don't have that experience. And so they end up having to fight and scrap for every advance that they make, and still have people around them saying, accusing them of using their feminine wiles to get to the top, all while they're facing being belittled by colleagues, men and women alike, unfortunately. So I feel like women, just because of how we tend to be socialized, have, this is overstepping perhaps, but like less of an entitlement towards higher education. And so they tend to have a better work ethic, at least right now, under current social norms. And I think that's part of it too. I don't know if that's true. Maybe I'm totally off base, but that's just what I've been seeing.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's interesting because I didn't grow up in an environment where anyone really encouraged me to go to college. I'm a first generation college graduate, but it was not really encouraged. And then there were a lot of things said, like, I constantly talked about not wanting, and this is just how I felt personally, not wanting to get married ever until I felt like I had been established myself and I was bringing something to the table where I felt like I wasn't just getting married and then, like, having somebody, support me or whatever. And I remember specific times where multiple people were like, men don't really care about that. You can just get married and they'll provide. I'm like, but I don't want that. Like, that doesn't feel good to me. It doesn't make me feel secure. It doesn't, like, X, Y, and Z. So yeah, it's definitely interesting. I think that is probably most common in evangelical spaces. And then I know that the one thing they also push for, like, Charlie Kirk, is, I forget what they call it, like the Mrs. degree or whatever. Have you heard of this? Where,
Yeah,
like,
I've heard of
they
that.
just go to college to get married, basically.
Their MRS degree or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Lame joke.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Lame joke.
I'm not like a gender studies person, but I've listened to people who are, and there's folks that point out the fact that it's like the more women get educated, the less likely they are to stay in a poor situation, because women, 60 years ago, oftentimes were shackled in some ways to the person that they married. And I say shackled like pejoratively. Some of those marriages were amazing and some of them weren't. But the woman couldn't leave because she was married, and she sometimes had children, and she had to be there for them and make sure that they were provided for. And so she put up with a lot of nonsense, benign and malicious alike, just to make sure that she and her kids ever had a roof over her head, because she didn't have the education or the training to leave and provide for herself and them.
Right.
So higher education opens up so many doors for women. And there are people who argue, and again, I don't know how much truth there is to this, but there are people that argue that that's part of what's causing so much disgruntlement in young men today, or at least some of it, because women simply have much higher standards than they had 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. And how we socialize men and how we socialize them in what they should expect from a partner has not caught up with that. So, like, the expectations of women have risen, but men haven't been, quote unquote, forced to rise to meet those expectations. And so they leave empty-handed. I mean, there's some really sad but interesting studies out there that analyze, whether women would prefer, being like when women's happiness is the highest, right? And women who are in good relationships, obviously it's highest when they're in a relationship, of course. But like men are happier in poor relationships than they are single. Women are not. Women are happier single than they are in poor relationships. I think that's a really interesting observation. I'm not an expert in this, so I'm not the person to try to like weave all of this together into a tapestry that explains, the male loneliness epidemic and all of that kind of stuff. But I think that some of this stuff certainly plays a role.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Someone in the comment section a minute ago, William, said too, I'm sorry, I like flashed over to chat just to see what somebody said, but noted that women also experience unique challenges when it comes to field work. And I say this as somebody who loves field work, right? I love it. I really do. And actually, it's interesting. Some of the most prolific early scientists who were women in biology and in, ethology, studying like animal behavior and stuff like that, there are always these young single women who want to see the world, and so they go out and decide to sit and study apes, out in the middle of the Congo for years on end by themselves. And it's like the people who lived at that time, like many people couldn't fathom, like why would a young woman want to do something like that? And it's like, you mean go strike out on an adventure by yourself and have complete independence and be surrounded by the majesty and beauty of nature, all while trying to uncover its secrets? Like, wow, who would want that? I can't imagine. But the of course scary side of that is there are many, many situations with field work being any time that a scientist goes out to a given location to collect data of any kind. It can be ethnographic, it can be ethological, it can be ecological, whatever. You're out in these remote places, and oftentimes you're out there with people who you don't know. And there's a unique danger that is posed by those situations as well that unfortunately most field sites, I will say, are pretty good about nipping sexual harassment and things like that in the bud, but not all of them. Not all of them.
Right.
Since I know, obviously, you have the specialties in varying forms of biology and primatology, and you mentioned, the veterinary science, stuff like that as well. Do you think that it's more acceptable, like, in a sort of science, in like, I don't know how to word this, but like the fact that it's working with animals that makes it like people are like, it's okay for women to do that, but like hard science, or not hard science, but more like physics or something, is where people are still a little more, man space kind of thing. I don't really know how to say what I'm saying. I'm hoping I'm saying that right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's really funny because medicine, before women were allowed to sort of broach into these fields of medicine generally, which is also, if memory serves, I think it's also biased. Like human medicine is also slightly biased towards women right now. I'm not positive on that. I know veterinary science is severely biased, though. It's funny because before women were allowed in these fields were like they didn't have any baggage. It was just another sort of respected scientific field. And this isn't to say that these fields aren't respected now. It's just funny because if you look at the rhetoric that surrounds these fields and men trying to explain why they're so dominated by women now, you see a whole lot of rhetoric about how women gravitate towards these fields because they're naturally more nurturing, which I think is really funny because it's like, but how do we explain why they were dominated by almost exclusively men beforehand? Like, were those just particularly maternal men? Like, why are we suddenly, it's like the second women sort of get good at it, it starts to take on all of this extra biological essentialist baggage that is completely unnecessary. I mean,
that's because people can't accept the fact that there are things women are good at half the time.
And like, and I don't know. I think certainly you can make generalizations about sort of the two general like sexes, right? Like treating it as a bimodal spread. Like you can make generalizations about men and generalizations about women. The problem is generalizations are generalizations for a reason, right? Like they fail so often, and people are individuals. Men and women share far more than we differ, right? Like people share far more than we differ. That's just the nature of what it is to be a member of our species. So it's like, I don't know. It's just, it seems like a poor excuse to me. I think that there are a lot of socio-ecological or socioeconomic and probably socioecological too, factors that go into which gender is more represented in a given field. And I can't even begin, like I said, to tease apart the minutia of that. But there are certainly a lot of observations that you can make that point, at least in my opinion, towards a degree of, once women have the opportunity to do something, as any people group that has been sort of marginalized tends to do, they start to rise to the occasion because now they have the opportunity to do so. And as the saying goes, equality to those in power feels a lot like loss, right? Because they lose that, they feel like they've lost that edge that they previously had.
Oh yeah, I know that feeling. I get that.
So I don't know, to sort of to cap off your question, right? Like women in academia, even today, still face unique challenges surrounding fieldwork, surrounding colleagues, usually older colleagues, but not exclusively, but we're making progress in most fields. And I certainly hope that as we continue to move forward, representation will equalize out in both directions in a lot of these fields, and we'll treat them less as, male dominated or female dominated fields, and we'll treat them more like you should go into this field if you're interested in it.
Agreed. Anything you can think of, like for recent, maybe for activists or anything that might help out?
That might help out. Honestly, goodness, I mean, I wish that this was the issue that academia could spend its time focusing on right now, and that we as activists in general,
now, that's fair.
Yeah, for humanitarian efforts in general, I wish that I could sit here and say, let's finally nip this sexism that we see in academia in the bud. But unfortunately, we are looking at the collapse of academia in general here in the West, and so I think that sort of there are more pressing issues at hand. But my advice to most people is just encourage the people in your life, men and women, neither both in between. Just encourage everybody in your life to pursue the interests that they love, regardless of where they come from, right? Because like that's the beauty of science, is that it's meant to be accessible. It's the birthright of humanity, right? It's a way of knowing, and so it should be accessible to everybody and everyone. So encouraging those in your life who maybe aren't getting it from other places is paramount, I would say.
Agreed.
Sorry, that's kind of lame. I wish I could offer you a systemic solution to sexism.
Yeah, there's a big old fire. We're kind of having to focus on that before we can take out the embers, kind of thing.
That's exactly it. And I guess the one positive of that is that sexism that usually is present in academia, I don't know this for certain, but I imagine that that's probably muted right now as well, because it's all hands on deck for people in general to keep their jobs and for departments to stay in business. It's a shit show. I don't have to tell you that. Like we all know, how bad things are out there right now. And the zone is just so flooded. I say this every time I come on here.
I'm in Arkansas, and I'm a non-binary person, so who is not afraid to express their non-binariness.
Yeah, I empathize with you greatly. I have a trans colleague who is in Arkansas as well right now, and we spoke at length last time we talked. This has been quite some time now. I believe this was back in February or March, but it was like right after the inauguration. And he was just like beside himself. I mean, it was, and you like, what can you even say? This is one of the things, right? Because like you're totally helpless. I mean, I'm in this conversation, and I'm like, what can I even say other than like, I'm always here for you if you need me, and I'll stand with you when the time comes, and we have to batten down the hatches and hold the line to the best of our abilities, because that's all we can do.
I mean, I will say I'm fortunate to be like 6'1" and generally present masculine to a lot of people, even if I'm wearing like a skirt and dress or whatever. And, being tall and big, people don't want to, say something to me because apparently I'm intimidating. I don't know why. I blame my dad. It's his fault. He was 6'4".
Yeah. You can trace it all back to one person. Of course. Yeah, Arkansas.
My mom was 5'4", so it's very clearly who's I got my height from.
We got to stop this.
Okay.
Seems to be
All right, William.
a
Well,
discrepancy there.
hopefully that answered your question. We do have a couple of other calls to get to tonight, but hang in there. That's all I got. Taylor, anything else?
Alrighty, yo.
Nope, I don't think so. Thanks for calling, William.
Thank you,
No
William.
problem.
Oh, I already dropped. Sorry, William, I already dropped you. I was already in progress of dropping you. Yeah. I don't know where you are, Taylor, but I tend to just generalize and say I'm in a southern state, so I empathize a lot with people who are
Right.
dealing with
Yeah, I heavily agree with what you said where, the issues right now, it sucks because obviously we're regressing and not able to focus on things that we could have not that long ago because of everything that's going on. It's super unfortunate.
No,
I also
for
wanted to
sure.
make the suggestion that maybe we take a theist next, if you're okay with that.
I am in, and I love it. Perfect. Let's go with.
Cool.
Oh, well, we've got a myriad of individuals to pick from. You're looking at Call in Studio. Which of those looks best to you?
Let's take Stevie.
Stevie. All right. We got Stevie, pronouns he, him, from Texas. He's a theist. Stevie is here to explain to us why women do need Christ. Stevie, welcome to Chewed Gum. You're here on the show with Erika and Taylor. How are you doing? And can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can. I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. I hope you guys are doing well. How's my voice coming through?
You're coming through
sound
just
good.
beautiful.
Perfect. Yeah, so I just wanted to give you guys a ring. I saw the prompt, do women need Christ? Obviously everybody needs Christ. And I know, Erika, I believe you say that you're an agnostic. Taylor,
Yes,
are you
sir.
a full-blown atheist? Or
I've always labeled myself agnostic atheist just because I don't believe, but I don't claim to know if there's a God or not. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. So yes, I'm an atheist, but I'm not, I guess, the type to say, yeah, I know for sure God doesn't exist and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Okay. And I guess I've had a couple conversations with you, Erika, that are more scientific. So I'd love to focus on this side of it. Just the I guess the spiritual side. So what is it that I guess is stopping you guys from believing?
Oh man.
For me, it's
Taylor,
just lack of
you're first.
proof. Yeah, for me, it's just lack of proof. There's nothing like, it's a boring answer, but I just don't find anything convincing and I'm not convinced. And I also want to point out that I can't just randomly choose to decide to believe. My brain is genuinely not convinced that any of the stuff really happened in the Bible. I'm sure Jesus was probably some kind of historical person, but I kind of think it's like, how there are a lot of historical people that we make up things about or that are said about them that didn't actually happen. That's kind of where I'm at with it.
Okay. What about you, Erika?
See, I'm trying to remember what I'm like racking my brain I actually checked chat just now to try to remember what it is that what scientific discussions we'd had previously, because I can't remember off the top of my head.
We've talked about molecular machines before. We've talked about genetic entropy before.
Gotcha. Okay.
Those are the two that I remember.
Yeah, we might have talked more. We might not have, but we'll keep it, as you said, to this side of the conversation today. So for me, I don't know. For me, the entire affair strikes me as extremely human, right? Like when I look at Christianity, it is extremely reminiscent of other world religions. It strikes me as the type of thing, particularly early portions of the Old Testament, right, that someone would write if they needed to justify doing something that was otherwise difficult to get people on board with, or heinous or unpopular. That's not to say all of it is. I'm thinking of the more grotesque things like the genocides and stuff like that. Whereas some of the other bits strike me as means by which to encourage your people group, or help them hold out in times of suffering or bondage, or ways to keep the history alive. When I read the text, when I read the Bible, it looks very, very human. I find it hard to find the divine in it. A lot of the advice, especially in the New Testament, is good advice, right? When it's like love your neighbor as yourself, right? Like golden rule kind of thing. But it's not unique to the Bible as a text. You also find sort of morals like that in other world religions. And so at the end of the day, I think the Bible and I think Christianity are important historically. I think that they are, sort of echo what Taylor said, in part historical. But I don't think that there's anything about it. I'm not convinced that we're looking at a correct religion, let alone the correct religion, that has managed to sort of figure everything out, if you will. So that's my perspective. I'm a bit incredulous. It doesn't seem extraordinary as a text to me.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, I used to believe all that in the past myself, so I can definitely relate. Now I know that Taylor, you said that you felt that there's just not enough evidence. Would you agree that a car is designed?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And what is more complex, a car or the human body? Just scientifically.
I mean, I'm guessing a human body, like everything that's like a living organism, I'm guessing is more complex than a car. I don't really know how to compare the two, honestly, though. Okay.
Yeah, like, the human body, it's incredibly complex. Far, like 1,000 times more complex
It also
than
seems
a car
really flawed.
would be.
It also seems really flawed to
you
me.
mean
So
like
it might
wears
be
out?
complex. A bunch of different things. Like the disease that can get, somebody can get appendicitis and just die, like just a bunch of random things that don't make a lot of sense that seem flawed to me.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I will say that that's a slightly different topic. That is something that, if you've read Genesis, that the world was created very good or perfect. The humans, there was no death in the past, and it was, through our disobedience that was brought into the world. So we were not originally designed with those things in mind. But I want to stick to the design argument here.
If I may offer you a counter, because I think this is an interesting question, because I don't think anybody would say that a car, which is clearly designed, is more complex than the human body, which I would propose is clearly not designed. And in part, I think that this is a false equivalency for the simple reason that far more complex systems than the human body have emerged through natural processes. And when I say complex, I mean where every single individual participant in that system must work precisely as they should, ostensibly, for the system to continue to exist. And the example that I like to bring up for this is an ecosystem. Take the world's oceans, which is arguably a single codependent ecosystem. And if we're taking it the biosphere level, it's also codependent with every ecosystem on the land, or at least the coastal ecosystems that are on the land. Every single member of that ecosystem, from the tiniest zooplankton to the enormous blue whale, must operate precisely as it should in order for that ecosystem to stay working and not collapse entirely. And yet we know that ecosystems, from the tiniest, like new primary succession style ecosystems that we have watched emerge on places like volcanic islands, to ecosystems as large as the ocean, can change and emerge even through completely naturalistic processes. And those arguably are far more intertwined and far more well-designed, if you will, than the human body, which has significantly more excess and waste and sort of design style problems to it. So problem one, the design argument doesn't work because more complicated things than the human body have emerged naturally, and we've observed this with our own eyes. Problem number two, the human body appears, as every other organism's body appears, to have come about through evolution by natural selection, which is why it's not optimized.
I think, that's obviously I disagree with your point of view, but I think when you say that it comes about on its own, that's not really the case. I mean, for example, the ocean, where did the water come from?
Are you asking?
Yeah, where did the water come from?
Most of the water on Earth came from the late bombardment period, immediately prior to the Ediacaran, I believe, or might be post-Hadean, like right after the Hadean period or era.
And what needed to be in place for that to happen? Like for the water, like I guess in other words, you would need something to contain the water, right? So you would need the ground or the Earth's crust, right?
You need a non-fireball, but you could get that on Mars right now. You could get it on the moon. You could get it on Venus. You could get it on Mercury. You could get it on Pluto. Well, Pluto's probably too cold. But you would need it on a planet that is effectively in the habitable zone for water not to immediately evaporate or not to immediately turn to ice. But many comets, in fact, if memory serves, most comets are icy comets, which means they have ice on them, right? So like this isn't out of the question by any stretch of the imagination. And in the early formation periods of the solar system, again, I'm not a cosmologist, but if memory serves, these types of comets were also more common. So, and yes, the ocean is a single large ecosystem, but your problem is more interdependent systems, or at least equally interdependent systems, like new ecosystems on newly formed volcanic islands. Like take the archipelago that we see on Hawaii, or of Hawaii, where it's like these new volcanic islands pop up every couple of years. It might be more rare than that, but we see these new islands pop up. They're colonized by floating seeds from plants, and then they're colonized by the arthropods that come to feed on these new little seedlings that have just established themselves.
Erika,
then birds feed on the arthropods, and so on and so forth. This ecosystem comes from nothing.
If I can jump in, because
Please.
What I'm trying to get at is that I want to go before that. You see, if we continue to go further back and back and back, at some point something has to be created. So for you to say everything happened on its own, I think that's a problem with your argument, in that we don't know how everything began, and so. For you to say, "Oh, well, everything happened on its own," isn't really the case, because
what I believe,
just not a whole lot of evidence for that.
What I think is that we can explain the origin of life and the universe naturalistically. I don't know that we can do that, but I certainly know that we can explain the evolution of all modern biodiversity on this planet naturalistically. That's not up for debate, and that's the only thing that I'm saying here that I'm arguing in favor of, because your initial argument was that the human body, and this is an inference on my part, but a fair one. I checked chat. This is a fair inference. Your argument is that the human body is more complicated than a car. A car is designed, so the human body must be designed. And what I'm trying to say is you can explain the emergence of the human body and all its intricacies through regular old run-of-the-mill naturalistic processes, in the same way that you can explain the emergence of something like an ecosystem, which is equally, if not more complicated, through run-of-the-mill naturalistic processes. Now, if you want to say, okay, I want to take this argument back to, what caused the Big Bang, which isn't even, as far as I understand it, a good reason to phrase it, or an appropriate way to phrase it, I don't really have a dog in that fight, because I'm comfortable just saying I don't know. And I think Big Bang cosmology is still the most solid, if memory serves, for the origin of the universe. But I'm not here to argue as an astronomer, right? Or an astrophysicist. I'm here to argue against the idea that the human body needs to be designed, because that was your initial argument.
Yeah, and again, we can get bogged down on this, and I would love to call back and talk more about it because we've done that in the past, and we can continue doing that. But
Sure.
yeah, the biggest flaw with your argument is that there has to be something in the beginning, and so I don't want to get too deep into that, but that's kind of the crux of your argument, and I just don't think it holds with this particular argument on design. Now, something I wanted to bring up was that. Let's just say I saw a building, and I'm going to direct this at Taylor. Let's say I saw a building and I said that building did not have a designer. What would you say to me, Taylor?
This doesn't make sense to me because you're talking about things we know are man-made. You're not you can't say this about like where trees and other organisms come from. You're only naming man-made things, so it's just not comparable. Like we know for a fact
I guess
buildings
what I'm
don't
looking
build
for,
themselves.
Correct. Buildings don't build themselves. We know that cars don't, build themselves. We know that
these are all man-made
paintings
objects. Yes.
have a painter. And exactly, that's the whole point. Paintings have a painter.
Yeah, these things aren't comparable though, because you're only naming man-made things when there's other things in our universe that you
Right.
can't say that man-made, like plants or
Right, and that's what I'm getting at. So creation, that's trees, birds, the sun, the moon, the stars, puppies, kittens, the seasons. That is creation. And just like everything else has something behind it, creation, it makes sense that creation would have a creator. That's just the point I was trying to make.
You don't really believe that every single thing needs a creator. You don't believe that.
How so?
Because you don't think anyone created your God, so you do not believe that.
Well, a God by definition would be uncaused. God doesn't have a beginning, therefore God doesn't have a cause.
You see how, first of all, I hope you understand that's special pleading, but number two, it's easy to win that argument when you make something like that up. Like when someone's like, oh, this doesn't apply to me because of this made up answer. It just doesn't work. It's just special pleading. And you're telling everybody else that they have to follow the rules of this imaginary rule book, apparently, that everything must have a creator, but you don't stick to your own rules. So I think that kind of destroys your whole argument because nobody is going to take that argument seriously when you're telling people they have to go by these rules and then the rules don't apply to you. Or your God, or your answer to things.
I don't think that's the case here because there has to be something in the beginning in order for us to be here, right? So if you say that God was created, then my next question would be, well, who created him? And then who created him and who created him? Eventually you're going to get to somebody that wasn't created. That somebody is God. That's just logic. It's not
logic. It's something that humans made up. It's something we just made up, and you can't.
Yeah, no, I'm co-signing what you're saying. Like I co-sign. Continue.
No, I was just gonna say
so
it's hard to.
I mean, what was in the beginning?
It's hard to fight against.
I mean, how did we get here?
It's hard to fight. Well, first of all, I don't claim to know those things, but I feel way more comfortable saying that I don't have all the answers than I do just saying, oh, it must be God. I'm just gonna say it's God, so I have an answer there. I much rather just be like, I don't know. And, also, it's not like something I studied, first of all. But second of all, I think we're human. So the more we progress, the more we'll know. But I also think about how many times in history before we knew about things. The one example I always use is seizures, but there's so many different examples of this where we didn't know why something was happening and we attribute it to something supernatural. So for seizures, they would say it's like demonic possession or something spiritual. And every single time we've done that, we've discovered it's something else and it's not God. So when I look at that track record of so many things we attributed to some kind of spiritual realm or God and then discovered later it wasn't, don't you think there's a big possibility that this could be the same because that happens over and over and over again in history?
No, I think that's a false equivalency because at some point something has to be in the beginning. And if you don't know what it is, that's fine. It's fine to say that. But when we're talking about the beginning, you don't have the argument you're talking about doesn't make sense. I would actually say that you got to be careful because you're kind of, in a sense, going with the science of the gas. I mean, your argument is science of the gas.
I also want to say I don't follow this same rule book that you're like creating. Like when you're saying, oh, there has to be something, like I don't know if the universe had a beginning. Like I don't know any of that stuff. So when you like say that it has to, I don't know if it, like I'm not going by that strict like, oh, it has to. I have no idea.
I mean, there's a portion of cosmologists who argue for an infinite universe, no? I mean, that my understanding is that Big Bang cosmology is more popular, but there's a non-zero portion of cosmologists who argue for a different model. But more importantly, what Taylor says is totally correct, Stevie. I mean, you're basically saying you can't have an uncaused cause, therefore God is the uncaused cause, or what I'm going to call the original force, whatever that may be, is God. Now, first of all, that's a very different claim than the claims that Christianity specifically makes, but that's fine. I think it's probably better to go step by step down the list. But like I run into this problem a lot when I've talked to presuppositionalists, which I don't know if you're a presuppositionalist or not, but I have talked to them many times, and we often come to this crossroads where it's like, usually it has to do with like the laws of logic or whatever. But like I concur with Taylor here. It's a much more honest and reasonable perspective to say, I don't know the answer to why there's something rather than nothing, right? Like this is why I like science so much, because science talks about what it knows and also what it even can know. Whereas this perspective, this argument that you're making for God here is quite literally, we need something at the beginning, so we'll just put God there. There's no other reason other than the proposition that you're insisting is the case, that I'll again co-sign Taylor here and say I don't even know if it must be the case that you have to have this original cause. Well, what if the universe is eternal, right? Like what if, I'm not saying it is, I don't know enough about cosmology to say, but what if it is? Then all of a sudden your entire argument isn't just it doesn't just lose its power, it becomes effectively precluded, no? So to me, I don't find that convincing at all. I find that to be the sentiment of people, and maybe this isn't you, maybe you're not, maybe this isn't where you're coming from, but I see this a lot from people who are just uncomfortable with an unanswered question.
No, not at all. I would say that, well, I would ask you this. I mean, can you name one thing that had a beginning that didn't have a cause? Just one.
Potentially the universe.
Okay. And so what we know, and the reason why this doesn't really work is because we know that the universe is expanding. I mean, that's just a fact. We can see that the universe is expanding. We know that it expanded from that it started to expand. So the fact that it started to expand means that there has to be a cause for it to start to expand. So even if the universe is eternal, you still have the expansion problem.
What if the universe expands and contracts at regular, unthinkably long intervals, as some cosmologists have proposed? What if it expands to a maximum degree and then snaps and crunches back to a singular hot, dense state again? And it does that and has been doing that for all of eternity.
We have zero evidence for that. Do you have any evidence for that?
Yes, if memory serves, there are cosmologists who argue that the rate of expansion has not always been constant, which would imply that the universe can change pace at which it's expanding, and we know things that expand can also contract. There's also brain cosmology, which is something that's proposed by Roger Penrose, which is essentially that once you get to a large enough vantage point, I'm probably butchering this, but it's like once you get to a large enough vantage point out, you effectively have a hot, dense state once again.
Yeah, the expansion rate is speeding up, but we've never seen it contract. So to say that, to theorize that it contracts is a huge leap.
But I'm not saying it contracts. I'm saying there are cosmologists with actual math behind it who propose that a big crunch is a potential ending for the universe. If you Google how will the universe end, you're going to get a bunch of different people who say, oh, it might be heat death, right? It might be like a big rip. It might be a big crunch, and it may do so recursively forever. Again, I want to be clear, I'm not advocating for that. I'm saying that's a possibility. And I'm comfortable with that being a possibility. That's fine. But if that's a possibility, then the universe need not have a start. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But like, from my perspective, that you're effectively saying we might require this, therefore God, which is not a good enough. That's not a good enough reason to propose adopting an entire religion for, in my opinion. That's creating a question.
I can only go off of the evidence that we see and what I consider the most likely scenario. There's never been any evidence that the universe contracts. So to put all your faith in the fact that it may or may not contract, I think is something you can do, but there's just no evidence for that, or the evidence for that is significantly less than maybe another theory. But I'd like to move on from here. I think we can both agree, because at least I know I heard you say it, Erika. Maybe Taylor, you agree also that there is a chance, or there is a possibility that there is a God, right? So we can agree on that.
Real quick there, Stevie. This isn't a proposition. So I just Googled it again because I'm not a cosmologist. But the Big Crunch is a full-on mathematically supported hypothetical scenario for the ultimate fate of the universe. It relies on equations surrounding gravity. There's also a big freeze that's potential, and sort of a big rip, right? These are colloquial names that sort of mirror the Big Bang. This is far from speculation, right? Like, again, I'm not saying I'm advocating for it. So I certainly wouldn't say I'm putting faith in it, right? As somebody who is quite keen on science, what I like to do is see all of the hypotheses and then pick which one I think is most likely, right? I don't know enough about cosmology to say which one I think is most likely, so I tend to acquiesce to whatever the actual cosmologists are saying is the consensus. But the fact of the matter is that there are mathematical models for various endings to the universe, and one of them involves a big crunch. So this isn't a speculative. We need to be really clear on that. This isn't a bunch of people, navel gazing, trying to come up with a way to escape the inevitability of God, which is what I feel like, you're sort of painting it as. This is an idea that exists because of the constraints of gravity and the nature of the fundamental forces of the universe. Is it the right one? I don't know. I don't think anybody knows. Now, to move on to your next sort of proposition there, yeah, there could be a God. Maybe. I don't know.
It is so hard, Erika, to just talk about this aspect and not go into science with you, because I would love to just flesh that out. I mean, there's so many assumptions, dark matter, dark energy, all that good stuff. But
call on Skeptalk.
But yeah,
and I empathize with you, Stevie, because one thing that you said moments ago, and I've been checking the chat. I remember now. I'm starting to remember our conversation regarding genetic entropy. I think it's rich to hear somebody who likes genetic entropy to say you can only go off of what the evidence says. So yes, please call back when I'm on Skeptalk and let's talk about the science. But I agree, we can stick to the topic for now. I will do my best. You do your best. We'll try to stay on topic.
Sounds good. So yeah, let's just say God does exist, so that we can move on, because otherwise we'll go on this forever. Let's just say God does exist. Then God exists in this theoretical world. Taylor, what is it now that's stopping you from seeking that God out?
I already did for most of my life up until like 2 years ago. And if that wasn't good enough for him to show himself, I don't know what to say. I'm always open to him presenting himself if he wants to do that. Ball is in his court. I begged, I pleaded for him to do anything at all to show me that he's a real entity or whatever. He decided not to, so that's where I'm at with it. It feels pretty simple.
What if he did and it was recorded in the Bible? Have you thought about that?
So you're saying the Bible is proof of God? I just don't. That's not. I can't.
No, I'm just saying. I guess my question is like, because you said he didn't show himself to you, but what if he did show himself 2,000 years ago, and
why would
it was written down? Why is that a possibility? Is what I'm asking.
I feel like if he did do that, that's like the shittiest way possible to go about things. Why is he making it a guessing game? Like, it's so bizarre, and not only bizarre, but it seems like kind of evil. Like, he's trying to make us play a guessing game, and then depending on that guessing game, we go to heaven or hell. That's really messed up. Why would he only show himself during a specific time period in a specific area to a specific group of people, and then to everybody else he's like, good luck guys, good luck trying to figure out my guessing game, like, good luck out there. That just doesn't, like, to me, on top of that being so weird, on top of that, that doesn't sound like a very intelligent god to me. Why would he choose that way to do it and make everybody else guess? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, if God just came down and revealed himself to you, then you would have to believe in him, right? I mean, if
Okay.
let's just say Jesus
Are you
appeared
saying
to
it takes
you
away my free
right
will?
now. Yeah, like in other words, like if I wanted my wife to love me, she has to make that choice. She has to seek me out. And
your wife knows you exist.
Well, the Bible says everybody knows that God exists. I know you
Well,
don't
that's
agree with that,
just
but
false, because I don't believe he
regardless,
exists.
well, I understand that, but regardless,
Why-
if God was
Stevie,
to
why-
show himself to you,
if-
then that would take away your free will.
Stevie, if everybody knows that God exists, then why is belief in the Christian version of the Bible like region locked?
Because people have to seek out the truth. I mean, there's so many different religions out there. You have to find.
So is there something
truth.
intrinsic about people from China or people from Thailand or people from India or people from like Syria that makes them less good at seeking God out than Europeans?
Not at all. In fact, there's actually a huge movement in China of people coming to Christ over there. But people have to hear the gospel. You see, people don't know about the truth unless they're told.
Right, but what I'm saying is that
Say
some
again?
people are playing salvation then by God's design on easy mode, and other people are playing it on hard mode. Somebody who's born by no choice of their own on North Sentinel Island will never in our lifetime hear about the word of God ever. Right? This is an uncontacted tribe. The Sentinelese will not hear the word of God. In fact, the Christian missionary who did go there was killed by them. So they will never have that opportunity. They'll never have that chance. Meanwhile, somebody who's born in Texas, for example, or Arkansas, like our last caller, well, they've got a pretty solid shot just by virtue of where they're born of stumbling, if you will, onto the correct religion. And I think all you really need to do to see this, right, is to look at these places where people don't discover God ex nihilo. They don't discover him out of nothing. Someone has to tell them about him. Right? This is completely antithetical to this idea that everybody innately knows God. Divine hiddenness is a real issue that even philosophers, of religion and solid Christians here on the platform of YouTube struggle with, because it's a real twister, right? Like why would somebody who is all knowing, all good, and all loving make it so difficult to find him in places just by virtue of where you, again, by no choice of your own, happen to be born? Seems rigged. Seems like a rigged game to me.
Well, the first thing is people have the Christian God is not all loving. So that is something that a lot of people, that's a myth that people put out there. He's not all loving. He is loving as far as he's maximally loving, but he is not all loving. And not everybody will hear the gospel. There's nothing in the Christian text that says everybody gets a chance at salvation. Now, the people on Sentinel Island, I guarantee you, they believe in God. Now, is it the right God? No, it's not. But there's nothing in the Bible that says that people are owed the gospel. It's up to us to bring the gospel to them as best we can. Most people go to hell not because they choose it, but because they just don't know. That's what the Bible teaches.
Wow, that's
That's really messed up.
That's one of the most heinous perspectives I've heard, I think, in my time here on the show. Truly, I've never heard anybody take that perspective. I mean, kudos for getting out of the triumphant God problem, for sure, because now God is just kind of evil, I guess. And the reason I say that is because,
why is he evil?
Well, all human
He's sending
societies,
people to hell for not knowing something.
all human societies manage to home in on a couple of morals that seem to pop up over and over and over and over again, regardless of the people group in question. And in fact, we actually see these morals show up in the proto-moralities of other primates as well. And that's that you don't kill someone for no reason. That shows up a lot as a basic aspect of moral code. Now, killing somebody is bad. Sending them to eternal torment is worse. If we all glean our knowledge of good and evil, as Genesis says, from the tree that God created in the Garden of Eden, and if God made us in his image, then I would suspect, and maybe this is an inappropriate suspicion, that we are made in the image of God, in that we have similar curiosities, similar beings, similar natures, whatever, which means that my understanding of what is evil, since my ancestors, from your perspective, ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, is at least approximate to what God's is. And I think that it's pretty damn evil to create people, to bring them into being, again, on no will of their own, only to condemn them, again, by no choice of their own, like in the case of the Sentinelese, to eternal conscious torment. I think that is about as close to like a demiurge as you could get to. Truly, if that is the case, we are in, this is like, I have no mouth and I must scream. I couldn't come up with a torture machine greater than that, especially to give them a taste of non-eternal conscious torment here on this mortal coil, here on the plane of earth, where they can just get a taste of love and curiosity and wonder, and then to just send them into the lake of fire. Like, goodness gracious. I don't know. I think if I thought the way that you did, I don't think I would get a wink of sleep. That's very scary to me.
That's what the Bible teaches. And I think the biggest, or probably the crux of the issue here, is that you have a very low opinion of God's holiness and a very high opinion of humans' holiness. In other words, you think that sin is trivial, whereas God feels that sin is anything but. So that's really the main issue. The other thing you brought up, so you brought up evil, as if you don't believe in God, then there is no true evil. So I find that kind of ironic to use that argument, but we can go down that path.
Stevie, I do want to ask you a question of something you said before. Can you name me any other situation as to where you learn information and your free will gets taken away? Like when I'm in school, does my free will get taken away because they proved to me some kind of science or something? Does that work any other time where you learn information and somehow your free will is taken away? And then my second question is, does that mean Jesus took away everybody's free will that he met when he was here on earth? Did he take away all their free will?
I would say that I would use the analogy of like loving somebody. Like when I met my wife had to choose to love me. I can't force my wife to love me.
That's not what I asked, though. I asked about the free will thing.
Well, that's directly tied in. Would you mind repeating the question? Maybe I misheard it.
Yeah, you said God can't just straight up show himself to me, or else he'd be taking away my free will. And I'm asking you, how is it that I lose my free will from learning information?
Gotcha. Okay, yeah. So it's not that he can't. It's just that he's decided not to. He can show himself to you, but he's decided not to.
Yeah,
because
why
if
not?
he shows himself to you, he's going to influence your decision. So you're right. He doesn't necessarily take away your free will, but he influences your decision. And
so
God doesn't want that. He wants you to come to him. He doesn't want to come to you because he's already come to you in Christ.
Doesn't somebody preaching to me or somebody showing me the Bible influence my decision? Doesn't him making me deciding that I'm going to be born into a Christian household, doesn't that influence me? Everything he set up has influenced me one way or another. That doesn't make sense.
Okay, now I'm confused. I don't understand, because we simultaneously all already know God exists, but at the same time, people need to spread the good news. But at the same time, he can't outright show himself to us because that will influence our decision. But people showing us the good news or us already knowing in our hearts that he exists doesn't influence our decision. That feels all over the place.
Okay, so you brought up everybody knows God. Yeah, I think people in their heart know that. I think people in their heart know that, but they suppress it. But that's really besides the point. There's not really. We're not going to get anywhere on that topic. What was the second thing that you brought up?
Well, hold on though, Stevie, because if God creates us with the knowledge that he exists in our heart, you don't think that that's him influencing our decision?
Do you think it? Yeah, but do you think it matters like what God you believe in? Like let's just say I am God, and you and I'm trying to, and I shared with you the knowledge that God exists. Do you think I'm going to care if you go and worship some God that you made up or another God?
That's a question for you and your religion.
No, I'm just saying that just because you know God exists doesn't mean, of course he cares. But you think that just because people know God exists that they automatically know the right God? No, they have to find that out. They have to seek the right God.
But that influences their decision, no? Because it pushes them, in theory, from your perspective, it's pushing them away from atheism or agnosticism and pushing them towards theism, which means it's pushing them in the direction of Christianity, which means it's influencing their decision. So I think that's quite antithetical. Yes,
everything influences your decision, but the question is God directly coming to you? Yeah, the question is God directly coming to you and influencing you? That is what I'm saying he's not doing.
Like, you know what would do it for me? You go ahead, Taylor.
Some people say he does do that. Some people say he has shown himself to them. Are they all lying? Are all these Christians lying, say that God revealed himself to them? Some people say they see him, they hear him, like in a real way. Are they all lying?
I spoke to somebody here on Skeptalk, 2 weeks ago, who personally spoke with a prophet who said that the truth was revealed to them. Right. And I think this was the Realist. I could be misremembering. I've definitely spoke to a couple of people like this, though. So the point still stands. I've spoken to people on this show who claim, as Taylor said, that they've directly seen God, except God isn't always the God that you're talking about, Stevie. Sometimes God is an alien consciousness. Sometimes God is Allah. Sometimes God is the Gaia, the universal consciousness of the earth, right? Like I've met people who believe all of that, and they truly do believe that they have been shown after excessive amounts of searching the truth.
Right.
So I agree with Taylor that I don't think that your perspective here holds outside of, if I may, and I don't mean this pejoratively, this is everybody, but your myopic experience, your personal experience.
This is not my personal experience. This is the God of the Bible that I'm discussing here with you. So it's not my personal experience. That's not why I believe in God. Now, if I played Beethoven and I screwed up Beethoven, is it Beethoven's fault or is it my fault because I played it wrong?
Wait, Stevie, I want you to I want you to answer me that if the people who say they see and experience God and that's why they're Christian, are they lying?
That's what I'm trying to answer. Do you mind entertaining this question? If I play Beethoven wrong, is it Beethoven's fault or is it my fault?
I feel like I know where you're going. You're going for if I'm understanding you correctly, you're going for a conversation about the fall of man and the folly of man.
No, I'm just I'm just trying to say that.
I think that's a different question than from what Taylor's asking.
Okay, let me answer the question then.
Yes.
Can you just answer Taylor's yes or no?
The Bible warns us of somebody coming to you, whether it be an angel, a demon, and giving you a different gospel. So the people who are saying it's God,
the Christian God, Christian, Jesus.
I know.
They say
I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Okay.
I'm getting there. When people come to you and say, let's just say, I saw Jesus or I saw a prophet or whatever, the Bible warns us of that. And the Bible says people will come and say that they are Jesus, that they are the Messiah, okay? And we are to check everything with the Word of God. So those people, I'm not saying they're lying, What I'm saying is they're being deceived, and that they did see some. Maybe somebody did come to them. Maybe somebody did come to them and say, "Hey, I'm Jesus," or "This is that," but it wasn't the real Jesus. It wasn't God. In the Bible, we know that as Satan.
So,
So a lot
are
of
all
those
of those
people are
people,
being deceived.
are all of them going to go to hell then? Because somehow, like, what's deceiving them? Is this Satan? Like, who do you think this is?
Yeah, I mean, Satan, the Bible calls Satan the god of this world. Satan's job is to deceive people.
So I want to get this straight. God allows Satan to just show himself to people claiming he's God. How on earth would like people be able to decide if that was God or not? That does not make any sense. That just adds to
Because
his
that's why
sick
you have
game of
to.
like, guess if it's real, guess if I'm real. If you're wrong, whoopsie, you're gonna burn for eternity. My bad.
The only people that are going to know the truth are the people who have read the Bible and know what the Bible says. That's the only
I've
people.
read the
In
Bible.
fact,
I know what it says. Am I gonna go to hell?
if you don't have your faith in Christ, but people don't go to hell because they don't know Jesus. People go to hell because of their sin. So you have to make sure that you have the right understanding of that. Nobody goes to hell because they don't know Jesus. They go to hell because of their sin.
If that was the case, you would also be going to hell because you've sinned. If that
Erika,
were the
can you
case, every
check
single person
Discord?
would be going to hell.
Exactly. That is the gospel. That's what the
Gotcha.
gospel teaches. Everybody is guilty. No one is good but God. The Bible tells us that the reason why we die is because we sin. The soul that sins shall die. So yes, in order to find God, you have to first understand that you're guilty. I am guilty. I'm just like you. I'm guilty and I deserve hell. That's what the Bible tells me. Now, the way that I get forgiveness is by Jesus taking my punishment instead of me. You see, let me back up. God
Right, so I'm going to
believes
hell
in
because I
justice.
didn't receive this
Okay.
free gift. Do you think it's normal that when people don't accept a gift, they deserve to like get a punishment? Is that how gifts work usually? Like gift giving, if something
Well,
is a
again,
free gift, then why am I getting punished for not receiving it or choosing not to accept it? If it was a choice, it's not even a choice because I can't force myself to be convinced. But is that how quote unquote gifts work? You get punished if you don't accept it? There's like some kind of consequence
well,
that if you don't
that's what I
accept
was
it, you're
trying
going
to
to burn
say.
in hell forever?
That's what I was trying to tell you is that nobody goes to hell because they don't accept a gift. They go to hell for their sin. That's why they go to hell. See, God is loving, but God is just. God is never going to.
Stevie,
He's never going to allow love to overpower justice.
Stevie,
ahead,
I honestly, we have a couple of other calls on the line that we need to get to, and I don't know what Taylor's time frame is for tonight, so I'm going to wrap this call up. But, honestly, this is a uniquely Calvinist perspective that, and maybe you're not a Calvinist. It sounds Calvinist to me that I've not heard before. But oh my goodness, hand to God, right? Like I hope you're wrong on all of this because your version of God sounds like the scariest creature I've ever imagined, right? I truly can't imagine willingly believing in an individual like that, let alone like worshiping them. Honestly, it's a truly unique version of God that I've not heard on this show before. Maybe I've just not been on the show long enough, but I feel like I've talked to Calvinists, and even they don't have the sort of grim, dark interpretation of God. I don't believe you're right, and I'm glad that I don't believe that you're right. But please, I would love to talk to you more about the science of some of this stuff. Call back another time. We can continue this conversation exactly where we left off if you'd like, when Taylor and I are on again together. But for now, we do need to move on to the next caller. You want to take a minute and wrap up your thoughts while I prep our next caller, Taylor?
Yeah, if I oh, okay. I wasn't sure if you were talking about her.
Oh, the only thing I have to say is I think that a lot of your arguments like I feel like you're kind of bouncing around to different arguments, but they don't really hold up when I ask you other questions. So I don't know. That's kind of my thought on it.
Yeah, I mean, all I can say is that is that what the Bible teaches, and that is that we are all guilty. So I think that you guys it doesn't make sense to you because you think that you're innocent. And because you
I don't
think that
think
you're
I'm
innocent, you don't believe
no.
that you don't believe that you deserve justice. But when you understand that you deserve justice, that's why the God of the Bible is so loving. The fact that he would give up his own son, that his son would take a punishment that we deserve. That's why it's beautiful and it makes sense. And yeah, I wish we could talk about it more, but I do want to respect everybody else's time. And I can understand, like I said, I was in y'all's place a couple years ago, so. But I definitely appreciate it, and I hope y'all think about that.
I was also in yours. All right, thanks for calling, Stevie.
Thank you, Stevie. All right. Yeah, that's I mean,
That's
I didn't
love
know.
and that's justice, y'all.
I don't know, man. I don't know what to do with that. I mean, that's like that sounds like a cyberpunk villain to me, but whatever.
Yeah,
What are
for
you
real.
thinking next, Taylor? Also, check Discord when you get a minute, Taylor, for timeline stuff. But also, what are you thinking looks good for our next call?
I'll let you pick this one because I picked the last.
Bobby's been waiting for a minute, and I think I can knock this out quickly for real this time. Bobby from California, he's an atheist. He wants to talk about gay primates. What's up, Bobby? Can you hear us?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. How are you?
Oh, fantastic. So yeah, I was kind of wondering, when you look at like primates and animals in nature, there are a lot that experience like there's a lot of like same-sex activity happening.
Yes.
But do we see animals form like same-sex pair bonds, like long-term relationships, or is it just like sex?
So that's a super good question. My understanding is that we do, and that it's typically in birds. So when we see long-term pair bonded relationships, you may recall that there was a famous case of like I forget which zoo they were at, but it was like two gay penguins who like adopted an egg. It was like a really cute deal. It might have been in New York. But birds show same-sex couples that actually pair bond more than any other clade of animal that I'm aware of. And the reason for this, as far as I understand it, this is this is speculation on my part, but it's because so many birds pair bond in general that there are far more opportunities for same-sex couples to actually show up just by virtue of the diversity of preference within these birds. In primates, we see a lot of same-sex behavior, whether that's affiliative behavior like grooming or like courting behavior that does or doesn't end up in sex or actual sexual activity. We see this all across the order, right? We see it especially in anthropoid primates. But primates don't form pair bonds very frequently. We have some primates that will form, monogamous pair bonds or serially monogamous pair bonds, which are like individuals get together and stay together for many, many years and then, quote unquote, divorce, and then they find other partners. And sometimes they stay together for life, as we see in things like titty monkeys. But I think because pair bonding is just rather rare in general in primates, we don't see, at least off the top of my head, I can't think of an example. It would have to be in marmosets and tamarins, titty monkeys, or gibbons. But here's the thing. If I was a betting woman, and I'm not, but if I was, I would put money that those kinds of affiliative pairs do exist and probably are in someone's field notes somewhere. The problem with this, in part, is that pair bonding is rare already. Same-sex affiliative couples should theoretically be given their proportion in modern human couples, in their sort of one-to-one exclusively homosexual pairings within these individuals should be rarer than the heterosexual pairings, just if we're using humans as a baseline here. How much rarer, I don't know, but rarer, let's just put vague definition there. You got to have people who are watching for a rare situation in a rare type of social system in a rare order of animals compared to birds, which are super common all over the place, and we see gay behavior and gay affiliative courtship behavior far more often. So I think it's a bias at a couple of different levels. And I know for a fact that there is sort of a systematic restructuring going on in ethology in general right now, where people have just, in a lot of cases, and this includes homosexual behavior in general, a lot of times when they're doing field work, they'll just like take those observations and be like, well, we don't really know what to do with these. And so they don't publish on them. And it just sits in their field notes and never ends up getting discussed. And it never ends up in the literature. There was a phenomenal presentation about this at the ABAs about 3 years ago, a sort of systemic bias against reporting on same-sex behavior in people who study mammals. So I would imagine that extends to affiliative behavior as well. So short answer to your question, yes, we see gay couples form affiliative pair bonds in other animals outside of humans. In primates, this probably happens as well. Certainly, we see all sorts of homosexual behavior, long-term pair bonds. I'm not sure. It wouldn't surprise me if it's in the literature and I just haven't seen it. But I would put money on if it's not in the literature, it still happens. It's just people aren't reporting it. That would be my guess.
Okay, wow, that's fascinating. Thank you for going into all that.
Yeah, I hope that was helpful. There's a really great book I want to recommend to you by a friend of mine, Nathan Lentz. Let me try to remember his book title. Nathan Lentz, The Sexual Evolution: How 500 Million Years of Sex, Gender, and Mating Shape Modern Relationships. Phenomenal book. Lentz is awesome. I've seen him at the ABAs, and we've spoken together at Skeptic conferences as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I will definitely have to look that up.
Check it out. Thank you, Bobby. We got a couple other calls to get to, so thank you for calling in, and please don't hesitate to, I'll tell you what, here's my promise to you. I'm going to look into specific affiliative pair bonds between same-sex apes in particular and get back to you on that.
Oh, okay.
Email me in about a month, and then I'll probably answer a month after that.
Awesome.
Thank you, Bobby.
So much.
Take care. It's our pleasure.
Great. Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. All right. We have... You guys, I hope everybody out there appreciates my restraint, because I can go on that topic for a very long time, and everybody who's hearing my voice right now knows that to be the case. Taylor, your turn. What call do you want to do?
The next DS2 is who called? Andrew.
Let's go. Andrew, pronouns he, him, from New Jersey. And I will never do the thing Forrest does where I do his little acronym thing, so quit asking. He's a theist, and he also wants to explain why women need Christ. Andrew, you're on Chewed Gum. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Hi, Andrew.
Awesome. Yeah, we can hear you. You're a little bit muffly, so if you're on speaker, maybe try taking us off speaker. But we can hear you a little bit. Just make sure you speak clearly.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, that's better.
Okay. I think women need Christ. I just think that I think they just have better outcomes in society. You know, women who follow Christ. If you look at the stats, women who follow Christ, especially, they tend to have less mental illness, less kids out of wedlock, less STDs, things like that. And I think that that's my main contention on why women should follow Christ, because being promiscuous is not working out too well for them. So.
Taylor, you take point.
I just don't know if there's actually statistics that religious women have less STDs and stuff like that. I just don't know if that's true. But what what if what if the promiscuous thing is like so important to you that women aren't that, but other women don't care about that and they prioritize different things to have a happy, healthy life? Do you ever like think about that view of it?
Can you repeat that again? It was hard to hear you a little bit.
Yeah, so it seems like your version of like a woman being like a good woman or having better outcomes, like the big thing is them not being promiscuous or whatever you want to call it. What if what if different women prioritize different things? Like what if they hold different morals and values, but they have a really happy, healthy life just differently than a Christian does?
I mean, I guess they can have a healthy life without being a Christian. I'm not saying that you know, atheists they can't be moral people, but I like, even, you know, Christians who self-ID as Christians, like they're particularly don't have the best outcomes a lot of the times either. You know what I'm talking about? When you look into like a lot of the Pew Research, the ones who take the faith actually seriously, like the one who give tithes, who actually go to church frequently, they tend to have the best outcomes. You know, and it's like with homosexuality, there's so much disease, you know, when it comes to homosexuals. Like AIDS is very, very high amongst lesbians. Domestic violence is extremely high. You know, so I just think that promoting those things in our society, and their reproductive dead ends, like they don't reproduce either.
But
So I just think promoting those things in our
but this thing of like, but this, like, you're going based off of your morals and values, what is a good outcome? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, somebody else's good outcome could be, I stay single for my whole life, or I have partners here and there, or I have a happy marriage with someone as the same sex as me, and it's great, and I live a happy, healthy life. You're like, have you ever thought about the fact that you're just going based off of what you think a good outcome is? Because for someone's good outcome could be another person's nightmare. Like, I know a lot of Christian women that their good outcome is quite literally my personal nightmare. And I'm not exaggerating with that. Like, them getting married at like age 18, them having like 8 kids, them like do like church every Sunday, like submitting to their husband, whatever. That's my freaking nightmare. So I wouldn't be happy or healthy.
No, I'm not saying you should have kids at 18, but what I am saying, I think women should have kids when they're at their most fertile, when they're in their 20s, and then pushing off kids in their early to, because they have the likelihood of them having kids in their 30s is very low, especially in their mid 30s.
Yeah, but why do we have
40s,
to have kids?
Because we have a reproduction crisis.
But why should I care about that?
I mean, do you care about civilization thriving?
I think we're gonna end eventually, so it's not like, no, I'm not like concerned with like repopulating the earth. Me personally, I can understand, like, I guess a case for it, but what about the fact that if I had a biological child, I would be very unhappy and not live like a fulfilling life?
Why would you be unhappy with a child?
Because I do not want the child. Yeah, I do not want the child. I don't want to go through the process of pregnancy. I don't want to raise the child. I'd be unhappy. It wouldn't be something that would make me feel fulfilled.
So your only thing is just hedonism. It's just, you know, no duties, no nothing to the society. It's just all, sex, drugs,
Hold on, Andrew. That's crazy. How does me not having a kid equal to me just like being a POS and just like being a drug addict and drinking and only caring about myself? That's insane. That's an insane thing to say. Like, you act like I can't have relationships with people or volunteer at organizations, which I do, or care about my community, or care about what happens in this country. I have all of those things in my life, and I don't have a kid, and I barely drink. I don't do drugs. Like, I'm in a marriage. Like, I don't know what we're talking about here.
Okay, let me ask this. Do you have sex with a bunch of dudes?
Yeah, Taylor.
I just told you I'm married, but even if I did, it wouldn't mean shit to me. That wouldn't mean that I'm not living a good life. Because I know people who have a good life and a good time doing it and having a great time, and they're healthy. So that wouldn't mean anything to me.
What does good mean? Okay, what does the word good mean to you?
I think it's whatever. I think that as long as you're not hurting people and causing a lot of harm, that you can decide what your purpose is. And I think that's just as valid as a Christian saying what their purpose is.
So you're a harm reductionist? Like you're basically out like a a consequentialist. You believe in like outcomes. Like, so long as you're not harming anybody, it's okay to do. So I want to ask this. If somebody was to dig up their grandmother's corpse to have sex with it, would you be okay with that?
Would I be okay with it? Well, or like, that's, isn't the point of not doing that?
Let's even say they give consent. The grandmother says, hey, you can have sex with my body when I die. And
She's dead!
you got a
That's
family
the problem! She's dead! That's the problem, is she's dead, and also, she probably has loved ones that wouldn't find that very respectful and weird.
Andrew, I
What
don't
if the loved one-
particularly, I don't personally find these kinds of questions very helpful. This is like when people are like, would it be okay to like shoot a baby in the face if it would save 100 people or if it would save 1,000 people? It's like, I don't feel like playing.
Would you do
This
it?
is just me. Maybe Taylor's different, but I don't feel like playing. I don't find there to be a use in playing trolley problems like this because there's no actual tangible conversation to be had because no one is trying to dig, or no one that I know, maybe you roll with a different crowd, but no one I know is trying to dig up their grandmother and have sex with them. This isn't something that's happening. In the background, though, of this conversation, I was doing a little bit of Googling around, and while there is a statistically significant bias towards religious people in having a lower rate of STDs, there is also a statistically significant bias towards nominally evangelical people, husbands in particular, in beating their wives in domestic violence. In part because it's associated or thought to be associated. I think this is, I don't think this is unfair speculation, but it's worth mentioning with sort of traditionally patriarchal gender roles and things like that. Wives submit to your husband, things of that nature. So if that's the case, and you want to, I mean, we could sit and play trolley problems all day long. I could say, well, what's worse, having the crap beat out of you by your husband or having herpes? You know what I mean? Like we could sit around and play these kinds of games all day long, but the fact of the matter is some religions are associated with some good things and some religions, or being irreligious, are associated with some bad things. What I personally want to prioritize is the freedom of people to do what they want as long as it's not hurting anybody else. And I want to bring about human prospering in that way. And to that end, and this is the last thing that I'll say, because I was Googling things that you were saying in the background, because I don't know, I was unfamiliar with the statistics surrounding this, but the average age in 2023 for a woman in the United States to have her first child was 29.6. That's almost 30, right? So, women are still having children. They tend to have them later in life. And children that are had later in life tend to be associated with more socioeconomic stability. So those kids get more resources. They go to better schools. They have more attentive parents. There are a lot of positives associated with that. So my question then to you is sort of in the light of that, are we wanting a quality thing or a quantity thing here? Is the important thing to you finding positive things to associate with the religion that you already have? Or are we looking for actually optimizing the human experience for the most amount of people? Which personally, I believe is maximizing freedoms as long as they don't hurt other people, whether that's who you love or the God that you do or don't believe in or what you eat or whatever.
You said a lot there. I do agree
I did. I'm sorry.
that,
I kind of bombarded you.
Yeah, it's okay. When it comes to, men beating their wives in marriage, I get what you're saying, but the vast majority of husbands don't beat their wives. Most of the domestic violence is happening from women who have side dudes and boyfriends and not their husbands, and another thing is that even like when it comes to like, going to school and stuff, I mean, even the women who are educated, they're still not having kids. Like, I hear a lot of women say, oh, well, I want to be financially stable. I want to be, I want to have a good income for when I get older or whatever. But even then, the people who have the most kids are the poor and the religious. The most highly educated women, the ones who you want to see have kids, they're not having kids. Like most secular women, they prioritize things like, their career and jobs and then a lot of them also have a lot of abortions. I know in 2023, especially amongst Black women, they have something like almost 630,000 abortions. That is absolutely wild, you know, and I don't think that's good for society. I don't think, you know, promoting homosexuality is good for society, in my opinion. Now, I think in terms of like law, I'm not saying pass any kind of legislation, but I'm saying like a more like I want to see more promotion for you know, traditional family values. It's like, you don't even necessarily got to be religious, but just promoting family values and, you know, stuff like that. You know, that's all.
So I hear you. I do disagree with almost all that you said, but what I do agree with is that there are statistics that you've stated that, you know, I'm going to take you at your word here, and there are potential problems there, right? Like if we ask the question, why aren't people having kids? Like why aren't people having kids anymore? You know, if you look at the surveys on this kind of thing, and I don't, you know, I think that if you don't want to have kids, you shouldn't have kids. The last people that should be having kids are the people who don't want kids. And I know plenty of men and women who aren't planning on having kids at all. I don't know if I'm going to have kids yet. I might not. My husband and I haven't decided. But the primary reason why people don't have kids is because they lack financial stability, right? Sometimes they do it because they get educated and they're like, I don't feel like putting my body through that, because pregnancy is incredibly risky, especially in the United States, which has one of the worst maternal mortality rates in the Western world. I mean, it doesn't always, but it can wreck your body. I mean, it can cause your teeth to fall out. It can rip, you know, you from your V to your A. It can cause incontinence. It can cause all sorts of different things that maybe you just don't want to put your body through. But I think from your perspective, if what you're looking for and what I'm picking up on is that, you know, you're concerned about the birth rate being low. First of all, I don't think encouraging homosexuality is going to impact the birth rate at all, because, you know, gay people aren't going to turn around and start having heterosexual sex. I don't think that they're not going to suddenly turn around and start contributing to this a rising birth rate. So I don't think that that's logical. But if you want to increase the birth rate, here's how you do it. You provide institutional support for parents across the United States, because people can't afford to have kids. People can't afford to buy their first house in this country. So if we want people having kids, what we need some kind of actual institutional support for new parents, so that they have a place to raise their kids, that they have safe schools to send them to, that they have healthcare to provide them with all of their vaccines or medications that they need. We need free lunches provided at those public schools for them, so that if they are financially unstable, they don't feel, and this should be especially a hallmark for people of your perspective, so that they don't feel like if they had it, like they don't feel like they need to have an abortion or whatever because they can't provide for their kids, which is a massive reason why some people, and people should be able to have an abortion for you know, whatever reason. That's none of my business. But that's a huge portion of women who get abortions is because they can't afford to take care of themselves, let alone a child. They don't want to put their bodies through it. Sometimes they're young. I mean, women's bodies, you mentioned this earlier, and you know, I'm an evolutionary biologist of sorts. So what I'll say is that a woman's body birth is a perilous thing at any stage, but the pelvis itself actually isn't well equipped to pass a child through the pelvic inlet until a woman is like 18 to 20. And that's earliest, right? The young women should not be having kids for a myriad of different reasons, not the least of which that it is incredibly dangerous for them. Anyways, the long story short is, if you're concerned about birth rates, and I'm personally not, I mean, I see infrastructural issues down the line there, but I think that we can meet those with institutional change. But if you're concerned about it, I think that you shouldn't be worried about promoting traditional values, because that is not what is keeping people my age from having kids. It's lack of support.
Well, can I ask this? Then, if that's the case, if, you know, if women need all this financial support and help, why is it that the poorest people in America have them? Yeah, the poorest people have the most kids. And I think the reason why there's such a high mortality rate amongst women is because they crank out kids in their late 20s and 30s. That is the problem. Their bodies in their mid-20s to early 20s are the best years for having kids. And women give up their most fertile years for education, for getting psychology degrees and sociology degrees and African studies and all this other stuff that they're going to never use in real life. It's just a giant money suck from these colleges, you know, and they get all these loans and they put themselves in all this debt. And most of them don't graduate with these degrees. Yeah. I'm
Andrew,
sorry?
are you confused about why people in poverty tend to have more kids and educated women tend to have less or later in life? Are you confused about that?
I'm not confused about it. I know why they do it.
Okay.
Number one, yeah, the reason why they do it is a lot of the times it's because of, it depends. It's never one answer. It's a whole bunch of. Some people are just just driven by complete lust. Some people just want kids because they feel that they're getting old and they don't want to be alone, or they see their friends having kids, so they just have the kids to get it out the way. It's a bunch of different reasons. There's no one, simple solution to it. But I just think that secularism, as is because like all Western nations are below replacement, like all of them. We have to pull immigrants from third world countries just to boost our own immigration because the birth rate.
Well, we're doing the
Andrew-
opposite of that right now.
So real quick,
Yeah, we have
Andrew,
330 million.
There's a really interesting trend. Like I think it's important to point this out, right? The reason people had more kids in the past is because so many kids died, right? Like women had a lot of kids, families had a lot of kids because mortality for kids was just through the. At some points, we're talking about excess of 50% of kids that are born don't reach their fifth birthday or something along those lines. There's probably a tighter statistic out there, but if you go back further to humans pre-industrial, women aren't having like 20 kids. They're not having like 10 kids. They're having a handful of kids, but they have kids when they want to have kids in most hunter-gatherer societies, and that's just the way that it is, right? Like it's not the natural state, and even if it was, it wouldn't matter. That's fallacious in and of itself. But it's not the natural state for women to have baby after baby after baby after baby. And the fertile years for a woman are like, if you want to talk about it at base sort of best rate at having a healthy child, egg quality doesn't typically decline until after 30. So it's not your early to mid 20s that are the best child rearing years. If you want to look at the actual science behind this, and again, in my opinion, none of this matters, but the science and being accurate in the science is something that's important to me. So I think it's worth pointing out.
Is the caller driving?
I don't know.
Andrew,
are
you
you driving?
Sorry, you cut out.
Are you driving?
No, I'm not. You cut out. No, I'm not. You cut out a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me?
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you. Just don't do the call and drive because that's dangerous. The years that are safest and healthiest for a woman to have a child, if she wants to do that, are like in between 20 and 35, 36. Really, you can push it upwards to 40. And recent studies have shown that mutations that occur in the gametes are actually more common after 30 in men as compared to women. So it's sort of it takes two to tango kind of situation. I'm not saying that the stress of a biological clock, quote unquote, isn't real, but I'm saying that at the end of the day, if birth rate is something that you're concerned about, there's a way to fix this, and it's actual institutional change. But it's never going to go, institutional change is never going to get women back to having 10 kids or 5 kids even, because as it turns out, pregnancy is not like fun. Like most women who are pregnant, ask the women in your life, like what pregnancy was like. It tends to be great because you get a kid out of it if you want a kid. But outside of that, pregnancy can be absolute hell on your body. So if you don't have to, and you can ensure that the 3 kids that you have are going to survive instead of having 8 and still only having 3 at the end because it's the Industrial Revolution and 5 of them kicked the bucket before they were 5, you're just going to have 3. And I think that's okay. Like we don't need to have a permanent increase of people on the planet. Eventually, and in fact, I'll get on my soapbox here for a minute. There's not infrastructure globally for a continued increase of humans on the planet anyways. Eventually, we're going to run out of resources, and there's not going to be enough for everybody to go around. So getting populations not decreasing necessarily, but like there's no need for us to continue on this up, everybody has a million kids kind of trajectory. And I think truly that, you need to ask yourself what the problem you actually have here is, because and maybe I'm misreading you, but the vibe that I'm getting is that it's not really a birth rate issue for you. It's a traditional family values issue that's cloaked in a birth rate excuse. And maybe I'm totally off base, but because we keep offering these solutions to the problems that would fix the issue at hand, but then you come back to, well, women are sleeping around, and they're getting all of these abortions, and people are being gay, and stuff like that ultimately have very little to do with the point, which was that it's better to be Christian. To me, it sounds more like you think it's better, but that's a very different thing than it being better. That's all I have to say.
Well,
We still have one
I know-
more call we got to take, Andrew. So, that's my closing thoughts. I'm going to boot it to Taylor, and then you can have wrap your thoughts up here at the end, and then we're going to move on. Taylor?
Yes, ma'am.
Not much. Just I think what kind of what Erika said. Just like what is good for you isn't always good for other people, and sometimes I don't think everything is as it seems. Like when you say that a Christian woman is less likely to have stuff like mental illness, I know this from growing up Christian. It's because of the stigma, being stigmatized for that, or that having a stigma. Sorry, I can't talk. And Christians saying things like all you have to do is have a better relationship with God, or all you have to do is some kind of spiritual thing and it'll be better. Or people get shamed because that says that they're not having a good enough relationship with God. I've seen that happen time and time again with Christian women. So it's not like they don't have mental illness. It's that it's undiagnosed and they don't want to get help because of different stereotypes. So all I'm saying is, when stuff is reported like that, sometimes it's not as it seems because of the belief system and what they're willing to do for themselves or other people. And that's all I really have to say.
Andrew,
Okay,
final
so,
thoughts before we head on out? Hit the old dusty trail?
Yeah, I don't really have too much to say. I just wanted to, call in and give my thoughts. I mean, it's my first time ever calling in. I watched the show a lot, but I was, I didn't want to stumble over my words. I get a lot of brain fog, and, that's all I wanted to say. But it was nice talking to y'all.
Hey, man, it happens. And by all means, my camera just gave out. Hold on, I'll fix my camera in a second. Thanks for calling in, and don't worry about I stumble over my words all the time. What I will say is that if you're super interested, we got a ton of different shows here on the line. I'm sure people would be experts who are more attuned to this topic than me would be happy to chat with you more about it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye,
Take
Andrew.
care.
Yeah.
At least I paused on a flattering frame here, or I guess it could be worse. All right, I'm trying to fix my camera. In the meantime, you can watch me be befuddled. Although this is my favorite expression for some of the calls today. All right,
True,
we got our last
fit.
call here. This is actually perfect, Taylor, because I'm going to have you kick us off on this one. For our last caller of the night, we got Matthew,
Okay.
pronouns he, him, from Canada. He's an atheist, and he says, can we hold the church accountable for what they're doing? We are all wondering that. Matthew, you are on Chewed Gum with Erika and Taylor. Can you hear us okay? And if you can, tell us a little bit more about your question while I fix my camera.
Yeah, can you hear me correctly because my line was incorrect?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
You can hear me properly?
Yep.
Yes.
Perfect. Did you know I was able to, it's my first time I'm calling to a TV show like that.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know I was able to listen everything and all of my answers were like yours answers. It was pretty cool, actually.
Hell yeah, that is awesome.
No, I think we are in line.
So what do you mean by holding the church accountable? Like, what does that mean to you?
Well, I need to put this in context a little bit.
Hey, real quick, Matthew, you're coming in a little scratchy there. If you could do me a solid, and if you're on speaker, pull us about 6 inches to a foot away from your mouth, just so it doesn't, get all crackly like that. Or take us off speaker. That usually works too.
I had a no-line phone. No, this is my line. I still have the internet as a phone. So
Okay,
it might
what you're
not
doing,
work.
what you're doing right now sounds good. Does that sound better to you too, Taylor?
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds good. Whatever you're doing, don't quit doing that.
landline.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Oh yeah, I'm just using my landline.
Okay,
I'm a
good stuff.
old person, I still have a landline and no pocket phone. But anyway.
That's okay. I kind of miss my landline.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'm sorry about this. For what I was able, I need to put context. Is that okay?
Yeah,
Sure.
just like, what you mean by holding the church accountable.
That's what I mean, putting context towards that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I heard all of the conversation you had with the Christian caller, and your answer was pretty much the same. So I think it would be an easy question. If it's okay, my premises is as so. I believe that the Bible was written by human beings to control crowds, women, and also justify their crimes.
I mean,
Okay.
if that's the basic premise, I'm on board. That's super similar to what I was saying earlier, right? Like I totally concur. There's some stuff in there that, dead ringer. I'm with you on that.
Yeah. Okay. Also, I'm French from Canada. Like, I live in New Brunswick, but I'm a Quebecer French. I learn English towards anyway. But so I don't understand all the expression.
If you're talking about expressions from me, that's okay. I spent a lot of time in the South. I still live in the South, so even though I grew up in the Midwest, I've picked up a lot of like Southern jargon, I guess, from my local area. So if you need me to clarify, I'm happy to do that.
Okay. Cool. All right. So I believe that the Bible was written by humans. I'm not a scholar. I'm not like I have a college in that. However, I have enough critical thinking to go on vlog with actual biblical scholar, and there's a lots of people out there that can disprove the Bible in the back of their hand. So to me, it's very clear that the Bible does not exist, that it was created by man to control other people, women, wealth, and power. Whatever you... I'm not a psychologist either. I'm not educated. Do you follow me right now?
Yeah, I totally follow you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool beans. So now let's continue. My question is this, is the church was used throughout history to gain power, control over mass, and do whatever they want with people. It was the big force there in our world, and then, we came over and destroy everything that the First Nation did. We say, oh, your God is incorrect. You should listen to my God that was created by man, and then I can control that God. Follow me right now?
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like it's a tale as old as time, right? If you've got divine backing, you can justify anything because you can just be like, God told me to do this. So it's fine. It's chill. Like whatever you need to do,
it
you can say.
justifies their crime. It justifies whatever they want to do.
And Christianity isn't the only religion that does this, right? Like we see this with all sorts of, and it's not always just religion. Sometimes it's ideology as well. Like if you can find like a strong man to put at the pinnacle, you can justify a lot.
I agree. Every religion is actually fake, designed by man, because there's no evidence of effing God. So, okay. So let's move on. So I think, sorry, I did not want to be impolite. Was I impolite?
No, you're good. You're totally good so far.
Okay. No, it's because, I try to be respectful, but sometimes, I learned the bad English. I was in the military, so my English is a little bit with swears, Anyway, I never been to school and learned. You know what I'm saying?
You are totally good, Matthew. Nothing you're saying is, I'm clocking on my end as anything but right in my opinion. So you're golden.
Perfect.
Keep going.
So I'm thinking that the church established themselves in the United States, grew up throughout the history. Actually, I think when you listen to some scholar about this, lots of people claim, United States were claimed in the Christianity. Wrong. Anyway, so there's scholars that can debate that, and I'm not here for that. But I truly believe that was not the case. That's why it was not in Constitution Zinzens. That's German. Oh, I forget. I also speak German. But it's not true. I just add Zinzens at the end. Anyway, so I think the religion established themselves in the United States, especially down south, use the Bible, the church, and the priest to influence all the political people to basically keep with the slavery. We keep slavery. Slavery is good. It's in the Bible. Woman, yeah, it's good. We beat them up. We're good to go. Anyway, so I'm thinking that the Bible is not good. It's designed to control mass, keep power, and have a control about whatever you want. Like, I think it's a tool used by humans to gain power and control and wealth. There's a lot of priests right now, prophet in the United States, and they need another private jet. Yeah.
I think honestly, Matthew, I think we're totally on the same page. I don't think there's anything that you and I are gonna disagree with here. Now, what I'm interested in, and not to rush you, but just because we're sort of at the tail end of the show tonight, and I'm trying to keep with some deadlines of our hosts this evening. So I want to ask you, in your opinion, because your call says, can we hold the church accountable for what they're doing? When you ask that, what do you mean by that specifically?
This is the question I'm asking, because we know we can hold accountable all politicians. Like, I know your system is not that great right now. It's crooked and corrupted as if. But what it pissed me off, I'm a Canadian, so I have, I do see the United States into a different vision. What I'm saying right now is the church completely corrupt the political system through bribes or whatever. Proof, Clarence Thomas got bribed by one of those billionaires. A few days later, abortion illegal. Beep, church, checking the mark. Doesn't care about people. It's just like belief. You
know what, though, Matthew? I think that the hyper individualism of the United States is one of the big issues.
What does
with
that
this,
mean?
right?
Hyper individualism and
It's hyper individualism is this idea. You may have seen it before in the culture here in the United States, but it's this idea that more than anything else, what you, the individual, want matters. Your personal freedom matters more than the well-being of your community or of your state or of your nation. That's what's most important. And it lends itself quite well to the other half of the United States, which is we're like super capitalistic in the sense that we make a ton of money and we prioritize making money over anything else. We do both of these things more, I think, to a greater extreme than the vast majority of other nations. And so
you're an economy number one in the world. Duh.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course. We're the number one at a lot of things right now that I don't want to hold the number one spot for. But I would argue even that, and you were kind of talking about this earlier, it's very difficult to hold the church to account here because there is no one homogenous church in the United States. It's known for its massive fractures of denominations. And so there's no easy way to point the finger at one sort of unified organization and say they're the ones who are at fault. They need to take responsibility for their actions. Yeah, go ahead.
Question mark. Then can you just spread the word that the church doesn't exist and to wake up the people that's under the propaganda of it?
You can try. You go ahead, Taylor.
You have the voice. I don't have the voice and the skill to do it.
Right. I think I'm not really worried about like hold people accountable per se when it comes to just like the spread of Christian belief or whatever.
Destroy the credibility of it. Remove the power of the church that has such an impact. It's so bigoted. Why do you think you have right now raids from the other thing? Everything that's happening right now is called Project 2025. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Oh, we're familiar. We're familiar.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm familiar
Cool
with Project
beans.
2025.
Don't forget, I see this from a different perspective. For
Of
me,
course.
everything match. Okay, everything I see everything from a different perspective. But right now, what I'm saying, it's exactly the footprint of human with their dirty fingers in the church and corrupt everything to gain more power, wealth, and their desire. Now, my question is like, well, it's not really a question. Something I don't understand. Why is a billionaire need more billion? Why a powerful man need more power? I don't know, but I see it in the church.
I wonder though, like I think we could spend I wouldn't personally advocate for this, but I think that we could spend all the time in the world trying to discredit the church. Again, I don't think that's possible because of how
I don't think it's a
fractured the
question of
denominations are.
discrediting.
Well, just hear me out here, because I don't even think you could get people to apply greater scrutiny to it, because as you said earlier, the purpose, arguably, of using religion as it's being used in the United States right now is to use it as sort of as using it as a cover to do some pretty heinous shit. Just as we've seen people use religion and other types of ideologies as a cover for heinous shit over and over and over and over again across human history. And what happens, at least if the pattern is to hold here in the States, is when you take away one cover, people just grab the next one. And we're seeing this already with, if I may, to get on my political soapbox a little bit, we're seeing it a lot with Donald Trump right now, where it's like originally the evangelicals, for reasons that are completely incomprehensible to me, they managed to latch on to a guy who is perhaps the antithesis of Christianity in its sort of most idealized form. And slowly he has just like shed every single possible modicum to the point that it's effectively confirmed that this guy is in the Epstein files. I mean, it is effectively confirmed, if I may speculate, that he had a close enough proximity to like Jeffrey Epstein for that to be a really, really big problem.
Yes, I agree. I don't know why you veered that off.
No, because what I'm saying is, what does the evangelical do?
The argument is, how can we hold the church accountable? Like, how can we hold the church accountable? That's my argument. I don't know if I said it badly.
No, you didn't.
Like, I want to hold the religious people in the position that influence politicians. I would like to hold them accountable somehow. I don't know how, but there's one thing that I do know. Is since, I don't know, 1990, some people invented the internet, and some people invented programs so we can YouTube and call and do all of that stuff. What I mean by that is we have technology now to reach so much more people than in the past, where it was such an advantage for the church because you have to use letter and whisper of something, and you send somebody on a horse to tell whatever. But now we have access to the internet. And this is why I think it's so important to bring that voice up and better. And it's just really a brainstorm. What I'm trying to do here is I would like, if you find another dude or a girl or a doctor, especially girl, because we all know that women are way more better academically than men, since men, church allow them to go to the school. Like, how terrible is that? Anyway, what I mean by that is there's so much more way to reach people, to reach, a pocket of population or whatever. And I think that need to be used to stop that.
I hear you, Matthew, and I think here on this show and also in other places, people are trying. They're trying to use the internet to be heard. They're trying to use the internet to have these necessary conversations. Unfortunately, even with a wonderful invention like the internet, it doesn't happen overnight. So people are trying their best. We're doing what we can. We're also a lot less well funded than some of these other large machines of, if you will, propaganda. But Taylor, you were going to say something.
There is actually a decrease in an increase in people leaving religion in the United States, believe it or not. And I think the best thing, in my opinion, are places like Recovery from Religion, where they create a safe space for people to question and create a safe space for people to leave, because a lot of people are afraid to leave for so many different reasons. A lot of people are afraid to question for so many different reasons. So I know
Psychologically,
I do most.
You're part of a gang.
Yeah, I do. Right, I do most of my content on TikTok, but I try and make it a place where people feel some sense of community after leaving, because that's one thing that secular groups and atheist groups don't have as much like churches
A
do.
buffer zone.
They don't have. Church is really good at community, and I think we still have a long ways to go with atheism and secular groups as far as building community. I think it's continuing to get bigger and better, but like Erika said, I think it's going to take time, but I think that's the biggest way to combat that, is create a safe space for people to come and question their beliefs.
Thank you very much. No, it seems like we have the same idea. Like, this is the same work you try to do, the Antichrist work, to remove people from being controlled by a human book. Oh my gosh, it was going to be hard for lots of people. But anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you, Matthew. Sorry to rush out the door here, but we're running up on our deadline here to get to super chats. Thank you for your thoughts and the conversation. Please take care, and we'll hold the line out here for you.
Well, thank you very much, and that's thank you very much in German. No, it's
Take
not.
care.
Anyway, thank you.
Oh man,
Thanks,
I keep doing that.
Matthew.
I keep accidentally saying goodbye, and then I hit drop, and then they're like, and then I just decide some.
That's okay.
Yeah,
That's okay.
So I had a musing that I wanted to say, but it was off topic. So I think that Matthew is dead on, that it's like, the church is being used in the United States as a means to an end, just as the church tends to be used as a means to an end. So like, what's the end? It's money and power. So in the United States, it's the same situation. It's a means to an end, money and power. So it's like, I think even if we could completely like, and again, like that's not a personal goal of mine, but I think if we even could have everybody be like, oh, it's whatever, secular United States city, I don't think that would change the problem that's intrinsic to people wanting to use some kind of horrific ideological motivator to like collect more money and power, right? We're seeing with Donald Trump right now, where it's like this guy is like he's like the strongman archetype to a lot of people, and they just put him on a pedestal. He can do no wrong. What is right is by virtue of its association with him. So, you don't even need a religion at this point, which is freaky.
I know. It is. I try to analyze it so many different ways, because it's weird seeing like Donald Trump, the leader. He doesn't care about religion. He doesn't. Like, he can't name a single Bible verse. He said he's never asked God for forgiveness, like all this stuff. Yet he's able to play that role to get I feel like when it comes down to it, it's this idea that there's always an enemy. Like, and for the evangelicals, that has changed over time, and I feel like that really drives them. Like, it was like during different time periods, it was like when 9/11 happened, it was Muslims were the enemy. When Obama was in office, Obama was the Antichrist, Obama's the enemy. And then after Obama, they kind of ran out of something, and now it's like the culture war stuff. And there's always this enemy and fear, and that's what drives the entire thing. And we've seen this happen in places like Brazil, and it's just crazy. It's crazy, like all of the almost every authoritarian leader I've read about all use the same exact playbook. And I'm not saying it's all evangelicalism, but it's the same like framework, and it's crazy because it works over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So
we need to protect our in-group from the evil out-group, so that we may return to the mythic past that never happened, and then you will get everything you desire. It's like, and you want to just take these people and be like, are you actually like a little baby? Like, how are you being tricked by this? I don't understand it. And sometimes I wonder too, I have to sit back and ask myself, I'm like, okay, like, is there any place that I'm capable. Like you have to keep you on your toes and make sure that you're staying skeptical of everything as
Right.
well, because it's so easy to fall into the meat grinder that is like the media cycle and outrage content and all this stuff.
Yes,
piss me off.
absolutely. I agree.
Okay, here we go. Super chat time. $5 Australian from Darren McAuliffe. Darren says, "Why is Chewed Gum not available as a podcast? All the other shows are." I don't know. I am but a humble
that's a good
host.
question.
They trot me out when they need me to host long ass shows, and then I go back into the pit from whence I came.
Contact at QAnaline.com.
Yeah.
Thank you, Margan. Thank you, Margan. Bug them there.
$10 from Bobby Kingston. So Erika, I asked Jamie Hewlett if he'd include Bari the Bonabil in Gorilla's art / lore. He said, "Who are you? How'd you get in my house? But hey, that's not a no. Fingers crossed." Am I saying that right?
You're
What?
honestly, you're honestly. So Bobby's been trying to get this pun, bonobone, as like because bonobos are a type of ape that has a lot of sex and they're very
bonobo.
promiscuous and like they have all they're very friendly apes compared to chimps, and so he knows that I hate puns, and so the joke is that it's bonobos, which is a thing that I like, and boning, which is a thing that I also like, just not combined with bonobo. Bonobone, I hate that, and he keeps trying. He brings up every time I'm here. You get a super chat about this pun in particular, but this time he's bringing up gorillas, which Jamie Hewlett made the art. He does the art for gorillas, which is I'm sure you heard of them, the band, whatever. And so the joke is that he approached Jamie Hewlett to ask if he could get his OC. I'm presuming that Barry the Bonobo is his OC into the lore as a means by which to get you to say bonobo and to piss me off, and it worked. So thank you, Taylor. Really appreciate that. I'm glad that. I hope it was worth it to hear the backstory on that.
There's so many backstories going on in super chats.
There are, and sometimes I enjoy being privy to them. I feel like I'm privy to most of them at this point, but maybe I'm not. Oh, look at Ray Gatto's cat! I love seeing Ray Gatto's cat. $10 from Ray Gatto.
Aww.
Oh, here to ruin it again. I had lunch with a microbiologist today. She was much larger than I expected. Awesome, Ray Gatto. Thank you for that. I'm going to take you and put you in the pit and spray you with the hose.
$5 from Sarah Talks Podcast for Erika. Bryce Barnett, the person who called last Skeptalk, were on, and the person who did the 3D of your intro is my boyfriend, just FYI.
Oh, Sarah, that's phenomenal. Tell Bryce I say hello. Bryce and I also met at BajaCon this year, if memory serves, which was fun. It was good. Went to Canada. Did Canada stuff. $5 from Candy, cool. The Monad Black. The Monad approves of this show. Praise be. Without the Monad, we are nothing. Actually, I should have brought the Monad up to Stevie. I should have been like, Stevie, I had a vision of the Monad, actually. How is that any different from your interpretation of scripture? Since we're playing, since our interpretations of reality hold as much weight as reality itself.
From $20 from Green Man Dave. I'm still buzzing about getting to meet you at, what is it, BajaCon?
Yeah, BajaCon, yeah. The Blue Water Atheist Humanist and Agnostic Conference.
Oh, okay. Your presentation was heady but fantastic. In true Canadian tradition, we begin the day with a friendly voice. I'm also giddy that you enjoyed the Gibbons. What are Gibbons?
Oh, yeah. So Gibbons are my favorite. Sorry, did you just say what are Gibbons? What are Gibbons? Taylor, you can't host with Gutsick Gibbon and not know what a Gibbon is. Jesus Christ.
I don't know what a Gibbon is.
Let me show you. You're going to be so excited. I can't wait to introduce it. This is a Gibbon. They're these beautiful little apes. They're so cute. They're actually
technically
apes.
Was that already your screensaver?
Yeah, of course. That's Snowy, my favorite Gibbon. From my PPL. I think Snowy's at a PPL. I love Gibbons. They're my favorite. They're cute. I also have some up here. They're like these ridiculously long-armed little goobers. When they come down from the trees, they have to walk with their arms above them because otherwise their arms drag the ground. So they do like this goobery little shuffle. They're also, you've definitely seen them on like TikTok or Insta. Yeah. They do like really cute little, and they're also known for being cute little pair bonded guys. So they form these little families, and they like stick together. And every morning the couple like zooms to the top of the trees, and they do their little duet, and it's really cute. And they're very
that's really
fearsome,
sweet.
and I don't know, they look so soft too. Like every time I see someone like engaging with the gibbon, like usually like rehab places, because I don't follow like primate pet accounts. I just want to grab them and snuggle them, you know? Like I think they're so cute.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad. I'm giddy that I got to introduce you to gibbons today. Your life is going to be better.
Yeah, I'm glad I know what they're I'm glad I know what they're called now, because I definitely have seen them. Like I don't know where. I'm guessing it's online, but yeah.
They're like little funky little guys. But Greenman Dave, yes, your gibbons are actually, I didn't have room in my office because my dog comes in here a lot and she likes to tear plushes. So I have them sitting high up on a shelf in my bathroom with two other little sort of long-armed ape plushes that I have. But they're both wearing their hats, you'll be pleased to know. $5 from Sarah Talks Podcasts. Also, you two are the best bandicoots. Heart. You know what a bandicoot is, right, Taylor? They're also a cute little, well, they're marsupials, but they're also really cute.
Yes.
I like them. I like them anyways.
$5 from Secular Felinus? I don't know. How do you spot a blind man at a nude beach? It isn't hard. #pun life.
That is vile. I love seeing your cat, but honestly, the puns that piss me off the most too are the ones that have like a gross visual. I think this is why I get the shit one so much. But it's like I'm just picturing like a person just groping their way along a nude beach.
Yeah, me too.
You know, it's all at a nude beach. I feel like I've been to a nude beach before. I went to a nude beach years ago. And it was, where was it? I think it was called Super Paradise Island. It was in Mykonos. And the people who were the most frequently nude there, like my demographic sample, old men everywhere, totally in the nude.
That's
old men.
That's what I picture when I picture nude beaches. I always picture just old dudes. I don't know why, but I guess that's real. So,
well, and like, you know, do you like? No shame, whatever. Do your deal. But it's not. People are often imagining like be a bunch of people in their physical prime, like strutting their way across the beach, like it's a you know, what I don't know what would be like a Playboy magazine or something like that. That is not
right.
That is not what's at a nude beach. We got $5 from Greenwich. Why do ants never get sick? They have little antibodies. Greenwich or a Greenwich. No, not cute, and no cat profile pic to offset my rage here. So congrats, you've made the list. It grows longer every day.
$5 from One-Eyed Heathen. Here's a poop joke Erika might like. Politicians are like dirty diapers. You have to change them often and for the same reasons.
This gets about as much. This actually gets less leeway than the ones that are about apes, because at least those ones make me think about an ape, and then I'm like, aw, that's cute. This one makes me think about a doo-doo diaper, which does not make me say, oh, cute. It makes me say that shit is gross. $10 from Joshua Everett. Oh my God, adorable little kitty. Another week, another tied to the Taylorist religion. Greetings to our divine lady Taylor and her compatriot Kaiju Queen Erika. I am a kaiju, that's true. This set is a bitch to get set up. We're late tonight, so thanks to all of you for keeping me company. It's our pleasure, Joshua.
Thanks, Joshua. $5 from Alishana Silverbow. 3 men walk into a bar. You'd think the third guy would have ducked. I literally saw this one earlier, and I don't think I get it.
Literally, well, because it's like they walk into a bar, like they hit their head on a bar instead of walking into a bar. The joke is that it's like a 3 guys walking into a bar.
It was so obvious and I did not get it at all.
No, you shouldn't feel bad about that, because jokes that work and land. But even when puns land, they're not funny though. So like haha, amazing. Same joke, second time. Alishana Silverbow, 4 men walk into a bar, you think the 4th guy would have ducked. I'm pretty sure Alishana has super chatted this exact pun before. Someone has done it. Yeah,
$5. $5 from Alishana Silverbow. 5 men walk into a bar. You'd think the 5th guy would have ducked. I've got a million of these. I bet you do.
I need you to know, Leah Shauna, I've got a blunt weapon in this room somewhere, several of them actually, and I'm about to like doing this cyber my ass through the internet to your house and just beat you unconscious with them as a joke in Minecraft.
My comment was none of them apparently passed the bar exam.
Wow, so funny, Morgan. You're lucky. You're lucky you didn't get drowned in the river, sir. Let me just put it that way. Morgan, you wouldn't say that to my face, would you?
Sure, I would.
One of these, a knuckle sandwich, and I got bony knuckles so that it would hurt. Oh, cute snake! $10 from the atheist mechanic. This may spark a different conversation, but the one female in the shop I worked at has expressed faking a sexual assault to get a guy fired. That shows more of her character to me. That's an insane thing to do.
That's insane.
A crazy
that is
thing
so
to do.
insane.
I honestly, I'm pretty sure it's criminal to do something like that, as it should be.
Oh,
I mean,
it has to be.
And
That's
like, talk
crazy.
about, I mean, gosh, that can ruin someone's life. And talk about perpetuating rape culture too, because that just does dirty everybody else who that's actually happened to. And sexual assault is way more common than false allegations, but false allegations ruin a person's life, for one, the accused, and then it also casts a doubt on everybody else who's actually experienced it. That's horrible. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, 100%. It's messed
But
up.
cute snake though.
$4.99 from Hannah Hodgins. Love to the line. Erika and Taylor, you two are phenomenal people. Keep up all the amazing hard work. Don't forget Monad.
God bless. Monad bless. Actually, on my way back from BajaCon, I had a flight with Seth and Forrest, and we were all like, there was some turbulence on the flight, and we were all like, okay, Monad, you gotta come in and clutch for us now. We landed, we're like, thank Monad. $4.99 from Hannah Hodgkin. Never sat Mel with me that when theists would say women need Christ, icky. Yeah, usually it's really funny. Whoever does our thumbnails for these shows always manages they come up with good like clickbait to get people to call in. And then it's funny because they call in guns blazing and then whoever's hosting is like, it's actually way more chill than that. And then sometimes we have a good conversation, sometimes not so much. But yeah, anyone who unironically is saying women need Christ, we know the type.
Right, yeah. $4.99 from Hannah Hodgins. Stevie, other animals can regenerate limbs. Why can't we? We only get one set of teeth for the rest of our lives, and our limbs don't grow back. Yeah. I can't stand it when people like pretend like the human body is so perfect. I'm like, it's so not though. It's so. But then I guess they can do what he did and say, oh, it's because of sin or whatever. And it's like, oh, yeah, so we sinned and then God decided to give us a messed up body after that. Like, that's crazy.
Well, they think that's a hack, but there's a wide world of creationist pseudoscience and hypotheses that exist, like genetic entropy and created heterozygosity. And if people don't know what those words mean, you don't have to. They don't mean anything in the context of when they're actually proposed either. But Stevie cracked me up with that because he pitched that to you, and you could. Sorry if you're listening to this, Stevie, but you could tell that he really thought he was cooking. He pitched it, and the way that he said it, the tone of his voice, he thought that he was Gordon Ramsay in the kitchen with that shit. Just like, I mean, we could go down the poor design rabbit hole. We could go down the irreducible complexity rabbit hole. We could go down many different avenues, and we did. But all that being said, not a good argument in my opinion.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, is this me or is this you? I think it's me.
Yeah, I think it is.
£10 from Tezimai, off topic, but I've been dying to ask Erika if she ever read Clan of the Cave Bear books. Obviously fiction, but in my head, it's exactly how things happen. Not in one generation, of course. I have read Clan of the Cave Bear. I actually read it last summer. I took it with me when I did field work. It's sitting on my shelf, one of my shelves around here somewhere. I really enjoyed Clan of the Cave Bear. I only ever read the first one because I got busy after I came back, and I don't really have time to read usually, unfortunately, not recreationally at least. But what's funny is one thing that the author got right before a lot of people did is the idea that Neanderthals and humans could like interbreed and have viable offspring. When Clan of the Cave Bear was published, that idea was pretty non-viable. And then we sequenced the Neanderthal genome, and it was like, oh, surprise! We actually could hybridize in some ways, which is pretty cool. But I also
Wow.
the Neanderthals in her story are also like super patriarchal and things like that. And I actually don't think Neanderthals would have been like that, in part because for some of our Neanderthal population remains, males and females have really similar wounding patterns, which suggests they were doing a lot of the same stuff. And that's probably because they lived in small groups. And when it was time to hunt, it was all hands on deck, whether you were, no matter who you were.
That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, because I feel like it would also end up being that way because like they're trying so hard to survive, so it's not like there's going to be these crazy systems set up.
You don't have time to be like, sorry, woman no can hold spear. And it's like, the tribe is starving to death, Grog. The tribe is starving. We need to kill a mammoth now. Like, they're probably like an Irish elephant.
$5 from Harder Gamer, just waiting for Stevie. Wait, just waiting for Stevie starts talking crap. Waiting for. Am I reading that wrong?
Stevie always talks crap.
Oh, wait.
Stevie,
So he's called in before.
Stevie has called in before. I had forgotten. I always feel bad when I forget about talking to a caller, but it's like we get a lot of when you host on this show, you get a lot of callers, and some of them are similar and some of them aren't. But chat, refresh my memory. Stevie has called a few times before, and I don't think just with me. I think he's called several times for several different shows with several different hosts.
Oh, interesting.
Correct.
We got $10 from Ante Meridium. As a geneticist, the watchmaker arguments always amuse me. The number of redundant and piecemeal and variant and broken and repurposed genes is far more emergent accumulated complexity. Yeah, I concur. I mean, well, what they do, Auntie, I'm sure you've seen this. What they do is they'll say, oh, well, that redundancy is not a bug, it's a feature. So like God designed in all this redundancy so that when you get a mutation, there's a buffer there so it doesn't immediately give you cancer. And I'm like, well, why am I still getting cancer then? Like, why are we, should have done a little bit more of that redundant DNA, because like everybody knows somebody who's gotten cancer, and elephants have far more tumor repressant genes than we do. So it kind of seems like we got the raw end of it. It sort of feels a little half-assed, And then, of course, they'll say, well, that's because of the fall, actually, because the fall of man screwed up.
Right.
And it's just... And at some point, and I say this a lot on this show, at some point it becomes just really impressive world building for your fantasy novel. Where it's like, and then the Nephilim were wandering the lands until the big flood came, and Noah had to take two of their kind of animal. And it's like, okay.
$10 from the atheist mechanic, just chiming in on the car being more or less complex than the human body. There's quite a few modules needed to start a modern car. There's more to it than I can type here, but both are vastly complex. Yeah, I just didn't, when he asked that, I'm like, I don't know how you want me to compare those two things. Like, I just, in my mind, they're not something you can compare to each other because they're completely different things. But yeah.
Well, I can get on my computer. Well, I can't do this, but my husband can sit down and like generate a bunch of random code, and the code can technically be more complex by orders of magnitude than other designed codes by completely random chance. It's like complexity. Creationists never define it. Information, they never define it. They thrive on intuition-based arguments and vibe-based arguments. Because whenever you dig down deep into any of the concepts, it all boils down to, I will be vindicated eventually. Some scientist is going to discover that they're 6,000 years old in a million years, and then I'll be vindicated. It's like, okay. $9.99 from Hannah Hodgins. Sorry. If God designed the Earth, just look at how toxic the Earth was when it first formed, and then all the global warming during the breaking up of Pangea and the mass extinctions. That's a crap design. You don't understand, Hannah. That's from the fall.
That's it, period. No, like, you can't ask questions about it. It's just from the fall.
I don't know how many times I can tell you people this. It's the fall. It's the fall and Noah's Ark, and those two things explain everything together. Like, why are the radiometric dates old? That shit just sped up during Noah's Ark. Why didn't it burn the planet up? Miracles. Magic cooldown process. How do you get all the animal diversity in 4,400 years? Magic. It just created heterozygosity. I just did it that way. Like, But it really is. God did it, but they put a magic label that sounds scientific on it. Like you are not going to. I had a conversation with a creationist the other day who told me about a concept called, I kid you not, people out there you're going to wig out. It was called designed mutability. So mutations, those probabilistic random things that happen that are actually planned, but have no inclination, no indication that they are actually planned. And it's like, what do you do with that? It's just last Thursdayism. Like, what can I say other than okay, put that fanfic on AO3.
All of the creationist stuff is very interesting to hear, like how they get to certain points, and I think a lot of times it's just that they're not gonna talk to anybody who challenges them, like. And when they do, it's a disaster. Like when Bill Nye did, that was a disaster, and it was a bunch of awkward, like, what the hell are you talking about? Those good times.
Honestly, people dunked on people still. Scientists and laymen alike will dunk on Bill Nye for doing that debate. Like, why would you share a stage with him? Why would you give him a platform? And like, there's something something to be said for that. On the other hand, and maybe this is the same for you, Taylor, but I've talked to so many people who put that as their inciting incident for being like, maybe this creationism thing isn't as strong as I thought it was.
Yeah, no, it was definitely something for me for sure. Yeah, it was definitely something for me for sure. And like you said, I get why scientists don't, but I do think Bill Nye doing that actually did way more good than bad, because I mean, he just like it was bad on their end, like objectively, and I think a lot of people saw that, so it ended up being like more positive, but I don't know,
really
that's just my opinion on it though.
Ham will never be able to outrun what would change your mind. Nothing. Like that shit is harder than anything else.
That was important for sure. $5 for SJL. Stevie, I don't understand how to resolve this dilemma. Therefore, I will insert God as a thought stopper. Yeah.
Yeah.
Always.
I mean, and what do you do with that? Like, I'm getting to the point in all of this where at that point you have to basically just be like, well, we're going to have to talk about something else, or we're going to have to change the subject. Because if your answer is like, if I'm stuck between I don't know and make something up, or accept something that I haven't, empirical support for, or accept something because it sounds nice, I would rather just say I don't know.
Right.
That's just
exactly the same.
$5 from June Bramley. If a croque madame speaks to another croque madame about something other than a croque monsieur, that's called passing the Bechamel test. Is this a Bechdel test joke? Bechdel test, where it's like two women talking about something in a story about something other than a guy.
Croque madame and croque monsieur are sandwiches, and bechamel is a sauce.
Okay, I get it. Oh, I get it. Thanks, Morgan. Thank you for explaining that. That made it so much worse. That's so. You know what though? I will say that was high effort, and I didn't get it right off the bat. So it was sort of an intellectual pun, I suppose, for a Neanderthal like me. But your turn.
$4.99, Hannah Hodgins. I believe there's no God to the same degree that I can say there are no leprechauns, no evidence. Yeah. That's how I feel. Like, if they really want to hide, I guess I can't. Like, if that's really the case, then whatever. Like,
I mean, I'll say from my perspective, I think they're similar. Those two things are similar in ways, and I think they're different in ways. Because it's like if someone wants to appeal to like a deist force, like that's. I feel like you can actually you can do more testing with a specific religion's god, or with like leprechauns, which are things that make some element of testable predictions. Whereas like if you want to say I believe in some sort of ethereal force that is responsible for kickstarting the universe, it's like I can't really speak to that at all. Like I don't see any proof or support for it. But I don't feel it's as falsifiable as like trying to falsify, I don't know, like maybe like the Book of the Dead or something, that has like
Right.
tangible relationships to the human world.
Mm-hmm.
That's my opinion, though. $5 from
I think
Bobby
it's.
Kinnison. Oh, sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I don't know if it's me or you. You can go ahead.
$5 from Bobby Keniston. Hey, Taylor. See my moped over there? You think that has a designer, huh? What about hearts, moons, stars, and clovers, huh? Lucky Charms, Taylor, huh? That's so true. That's so true. Taylor, I can't believe you fool.
$4.99 from Hannah Hodgins. Sorry, I want nothing to do with a god that dictates what I do with my life and puts traumatizing tests in people's lives. I agree with you, Hannah. 100%.
I'm a dunderhead with scripture, but like also what I do know about it doesn't seem to jive with that either. Like Stevie had like a really brutal version of God that was kind of crazy. Like I don't even know where to begin with that.
I feel like Calvinists like have the most intense version of God, but sometimes in my mind I'm like, at least they're honest about it. Like at least they're like, hey, this is who he is, and you and I'm fine with it. And it's like, okay, well,
they know where they stand. That's for sure.
Right.
$5 from Monkey at Typewriter. Stevie was born on 3rd. Thought he hit a triple and is wondering why your team is standing around in the field rather than cheering him. Embarrassing. Yeah, Monkey at Typewriter told me, I saw in the chat that Stevie was saying that like he wants to talk about the global flood with me, and like make my day. I would love nothing more than to talk about Noah's Ark with Stevie. Please
I would love to listen to that.
Stevie, call in on Skeptalk again. I just hit my camera a second time. All right, another flattering still angle. All right, you read this
from
one.
$10 from the atheist mechanic. Any god who would send a person to hell for the simple fact of non-belief is not worthy of worship, and I want nothing to do with him. I agree. 100%.
Here we go. We got $7.99 from Darren McAuliffe. This is for Erika. I missed the 9-hour stream. Thank you, Darren. It's okay. You can watch that 9-hour stream. It's still there. In fact, you can watch that one, and you can watch the one before that, and you can watch the one before that. There's like a whole gaggle.
Was it really 9 hours?
It was 8.5. It was 8.5.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was.
That sounds kind of horrid, but.
You see, I love doing this kind of thing. You know that I can't shut up.
Yeah.
I yap with the best of them. So does Forrest.
$4.90.
Correct. It takes two to tango.
Yeah, that is true. $4.99 from Sydney. If God is how Stevie says he is, Satan is probably the chill guy. Yeah, and just the fact that God's body count is way more than Satan's in the Bible as well.
Well,
as far as like killing people.
Yeah, I don't know. You're right. I've been thinking about it for the past couple minutes, but you're right. It's like, would you rather have someone who's like, no, like, no, that slaughter of the Canaanites was an genocide because blah, 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 and God doesn't endorse slavery. He would never do that because blah, blah, blah. Or would you rather have someone who's like, yeah, no, he did that shit. What are you going to do about it? You're like, one of them's honest, I guess. You're right.
Yeah.
Although I don't know. I do have a certain respect for somebody who's like, because they themselves are morally cogent enough to not want to follow somebody like that. They're trying to figure out a way to not, so there's something to be said for that to make it work, right?
Yeah.
$4.99 from Silly Spaghetti. Is it just me or is Stevie making shit up, then saying it's beside the point? There were a couple of weird sort of content pivots there, but we were talking about a lot of stuff, to be fair.
Yeah, I just feel like he was saying like certain one-liners, and then like if you pressed him on the one-liner, he kind of was like, well, like maybe you should think these like through a little more before saying them.
I don't know. Is this me or you?
Me. $5 from Stomp10. Great show, friends. With the rise of pick-me women grifting online, does this ever make you feel disillusioned with feminism? I don't know what you mean by this, really. Do you?
I mean, I sort of get the idea. I think I get the vibe. It's like guys, women are human, men are human. Everybody that is capable of having this conversation, as far as we know, is human, and humans can suck. Humans grift, humans lie, humans steal, humans cheat, humans do horrible, horrible stuff, and they do horrible, horrible things to justify doing awful stuff. I mean, I would say that I think misogyny is still a much larger problem than misandry, but that doesn't mean that there's no misandrists out there. Like, I've encountered people who are like this sort of like whatever hate all men types. I think the important thing is don't let misogyny or misandry color your opinion of men or women in general, right? Like I don't think you should do that because this is your fault more than it is mine.
And there are just people who love to like get a reaction out of people, and that's how they get their content like go in and like make their money and stuff. So I think some of it is to be like just to be inflammatory to get attention. And because I have seen some pretty wild things out there. Like I one time saw a video, I was very confused by it. One time I came across a video where somebody was basically saying all men are terrible, so you should cut off, and this person was being serious, you should cut off relationships with like your brother and father and stuff. And I was like, dude, what are we talking about here? Like it was just crazy. But that's that's a loud minority of people, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. Although I don't think that grifting, unfortunately, is a minority, but I don't think that's a woman thing or a man thing.
Yeah.
I think men and women are people are grifting like people are grifting like crazy online. It's just they grift in different ways. Like the guys that are grifting are being like, this one thing is going to make you masculine, and then it's like incel bullshit. Or women will be like, if you can get with me, then that's what's really going to make you a man. Or forget men, join my MLM scheme, and then you'll finally reach your potential as a woman. And it's like, don't let that penetrate. Surround yourself with good people. Their gender doesn't matter.
Right.
Just surround yourself with good people. Right. And we should focus on getting rid of institutional discrimination and prejudice of all kinds, because that shit sucks.
Yeah.
$4.99 from Hannah Hodges.
Okay.
Is this me or you?
I don't know. I always forget, so go ahead.
Is it you? Did I step on your toes? Is it you?
No, I have no idea. I was about to say I don't know.
Okay, I'm just gonna go for it. $4.99 from Hannah Hodgins. God is pretty selective with who he reveals himself to. Damn, if I found out that God exists, I'd be mortified. No, that'd be such a huge L and such a personal referendum, except for the fact that it seems like if it's Stevie's God, they're kind of an asshole, and I wouldn't want to be picked by that God anyways.
Yeah, no thanks.
So if he's right, I guess I'm roasting and toasting in hell. We'll see. Although I like to bring this up a lot. I was an IVF baby. So some of these people don't think that people like me have souls anyways. So maybe I get annihilation either way. Fingers crossed. What do we got next? Morgan's sleeping at the wheel. Oh, damn it. I keep hitting my camera again and again. All right. Well, luckily you're reading this one.
$4.99 from Hannah Hodgins. Thing is, if a real God existed that other religions claim, like Hinduism, or if there is a more loving God, then why is that God so selective too? Yeah.
Did I miss anything pressing?
No.
If there is
I don't think a loving God would be selective, because like you just can't be a loving God and like send people to hell. It just doesn't work. It's just never going to work. So
certainly not eternal conscious torment. I mean, I think there are some people who were like annihilationists, where it's like it's fine that you didn't get chosen by God because like at least you got to live in the first place. And I keep hitting it while I'm fiddling with this pencil binding.
$5 from the Fuzzy Logic. God of the Bible is the ultimate abusive, narcissistic parent, manipulation. Darvo, look what you made me do, all while gaslighting with free will. I agree. 100% it is abusive and narcissistic. I'm just gonna keep reading them. $4.99 from Vandalea, 1998. Hey Erica, you're finally on the line on my day off. Can't wait till you're free so we can have another one-on-one talk once you go through your email. $10 from the Atheist Mechanic. This gift from God is like an abusive partner. I did this for you, but why don't you accept it? Then you'll burn for, oh, but then you don't want to accept it, so I'll burn you forever. Yeah, there's no, it's not a gift. Oh, you're back.
I'm keeping my hands off this cord that I keep hitting. Okay. Oh, cute little snake again. This gift from God is like an abusive partner. I did this for you, but you don't want to accept it.
Oh, I read this one.
Oh, that is true though. I mean, the dynamic is really similar. And it's funny the lengths that people will go to justify that kind of dynamic. Like as if you should be so lucky.
It's painful.
$5 from President Starscream. Oh, Bobby's call got me wondering, do we see homophobia or something roughly equivalent in any other animals, or is that strictly a human fault? It's not necessarily that it's a human fault, it's that it's a cultural thing, right? Because like some cultures aren't homophobic. So I think what you could probably say, and I don't know this for certain, but I bet you certain primate communities or certain mammalian communities where homosexuality is maybe uncommon, I would wager that different populations would have different sort of quote unquote tolerances for it. But at the same time, that might not be the case because they don't really have social norms. Like they have social norms in the extent that it's like if you violate one of their rules, many primates at least have like a proto-morality where like they'll punish individuals for like giving false alarm calls for predators so they can get all the best fruits, or for forming a coalition to try to overthrow the alpha or whatever. But it's like, I don't think they have social mores to the extent that their goal, like somebody asked a question very similarly about gender for like, gender non-conforming primates. So like females that behave masculinely or males that behave femininely. And insofar as I can tell, they don't seem to get like prejudiced against, but that also might just be because we've got such a small sample of other primate communities species by species as compared to humans. I mean, if you plucked a random human society from now to 300,000 years ago, you might end up with a homophobic community. You might end up with a one that doesn't care. It just depends.
$5 from Space Barbarian. The only people who need Christ are obligatory. Why can't I say this? It's fine.
Oh,
Christo,
yeah, you go.
Are you trying to say fascists or
Christophages, people who eat Christ.
What?
Sure. There's only one though, so they're going extinct fast. $5 from Harder Gamer. Stevie was painfully dishonest, but thank you both for asking, saying much of what I was thinking. I really appreciate the way you handled it. The goal is we assume good faith unless proven otherwise, at least when I'm in the stupid driver's seat, and I always get proven wrong. Mm-hmm. I can count on probably 2 hands the number of times that I've assumed good faith and the person actually was behaving in good faith. When I was suspicious, I'll say.
$5 from Quantum.
You got it.
Sorry, go ahead. Okay. 5 from Quantum Chaos. As an Andrew, I would like to formally disavow this dude. Just throwing that out there. He does not speak for all Andrews. Some of us are cool. I believe you, Andrew.
I believe you too. $5 from Joshua Everett. Special thanks to Andrew for making us all feel like we need a shower. Cute kitty. Yeah. I don't know. You thread a fine needle with that because it's like, do you chimp out and confirm that feminists are like raging, simian beasts, or do you be patient and hope that some of it gets through to appeal to their reasonable side? I always answer wrong no matter what the situation. Okay.
$5 from the Atheist Mechanic. Why are we so worried about people being gay and not the frogs? The water's turning the frogs gay. I have a mug that says that the water's turning the frogs gay from what's his name? Oh my
Alex
gosh.
Jones.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So anyway, buy my water filter.
People don't worry about the frogs being gay because we already got them all. It's too late. We turned them all gay.
It's too late for the frogs.
There's no hope. $5 from Aaliyah Shauna Silverbow. Some people are saying Steve Jobs would have been a better president than Trump. But that's comparing apples to oranges. I don't know why I thought at the beginning that this was not going to be a joke or a pun, rather.
I know, I didn't either. I was like, why?
I was like, wow, rare Aaliyah Shauna Silverbow political commentary. Nope, just a pun that makes me want to fly to their house, dive bomb into their house, like Bullet Bill.
$10 from, I don't know how to pronounce that. I've literally never seen that name before. Do you know?
I would just go. Yeah, no, I think that was
Rare. I'm not trying anymore.
Ueru.
I believe you that that's how you say it. Okay, Matthew wins caller of the night for me.
Matthew.
True.
He had good opinions. $10 from Brent J. For all that you've endured tonight, thank you for your voices, Zerba bless. This is a monad country, so you best walk that Zerba believing keister out of here. We got $4.99. Oh, this is you. Damn it. Go ahead. I jumped a step on it.
$4.99 from Everly Polite Rebel. Erika, what would you say if the most underfunded branch of anthropology... Wait, what would you say is the most underfunded branch of anthropology? It seems they're just flushing away stool Is it?
Yeah, you got it.
Taxonomy?
So I'm in a unique position because biological anthropology gets lumped in with other fields, with the three other fields of the four field sort of approach that the United States has, but bioanth gets lumped in with the STEM subjects in pretty much everywhere else in the world. So if we're talking about it in the United States, it's probably linguistic anthropology or cultural anth. It's hard. I mean, you want to talk about getting funding cut and losing departments, like regular anthropology and bioanth, like medicinal sciences and human evolution and primatology and biomechanics. Like they're getting hit hard just because all sciences are getting hit hard. But like cultural anth, current administration is slashing and burning their way through that and through linguistic anthropology. Yeah, it sucks.
Erika?
Yes.
That was a poop joke.
Next question, Amargan. I take back my long-winded, kind answer to you. Wait, go back. I want to memorize this name. Overly Polite Rebel. You're at the top of the list for making me make a fool out of myself. Count your days.
I didn't even realize that until the last second either.
I thought they just messed. I don't know what I thought stool was, but I saw taxonomy. I thought it's not possible. I'm in a bad mood. Okay, your turn.
$5 from Space Barbarian. Your patience is amazing with callers who have incredibly problematic views. Here's another $5. Thank you.
That's the name of the game here on the line, is talking to people with problematic views. Yep. We have a big tent. Look who's back. $4.99 from Overly Polite Rebel. Erika, why do they call it the fossil record? Seems like it's just a stratified log of ancient people having the squirts. Are Erika, what's Dath again? Go fuck yourself, Jimmy. And don't apologize, Sam.
Don't apologize, Sam.
I beat you to it. Get out. I don't want to see you overtly polite rebel. More like overtly mean rebel. Let's show up at your house.
$5 from Nick Hanlon. Why did Mozart hate his chickens? They spent all day saying bog, bog, bog. That is funny.
Were Mozart and Bach rivals? Are we looking at a sort of potential enemies to lovers situation here? In my
enemies to lovers.
That was also a shitty pun. $5 with an adorable kitty profile picture that I love to see. I love long hair cats. From Inane Glory. Isn't the conservation of resources a hallmark of design in a universe of billions and billions of stars for just one Earth? Seems like poor design. You're not going to believe this, but some people use that as an argument for fine-tuning because they're like, look at all the beauty that he preserved just for him or for us with our podunk little telescopes. And it's like, okay,
Sure.
you say so. What do we got next?
$5 from Harder Gamer. One of the best call-in show for a long time. You both make me happy. Thanks. Oh, thank you. That's so
Thank
nice.
you, Harder Gamer. It's because I'm in the driver's seat. That's why they don't let me drive very often, because I drive us to cool and provocative places. People, just kidding. People like, I hold poor Taylor hostage for 3 hours. $10.
No,
from
I had
Brent
fun.
Day.
I liked it.
What is the, oh, okay. Hashtag
Oh my.
ZRB4LF. I evacuated my bowels, meaning bowels. It's a shit joke. I'm going to drown you in a septic tank, Brent J. I saw it on TV once. It can happen. Wow, look at this guy. So cute.
$5 from, oh my gosh, I'm so bad at names.
That's okay. You're killing it.
Cat
Yeah.
picture penance.
My cat at my parents' house is a long-haired black cat. His name is Jude. He's
Aw.
really, he's kind of an objectively bad cat. Like, he's kind of like a little bit
Objectively.
bitter. But like, I love him, you know? Like, he's my little ragamuffin scoundrel evil creature that I like to, he'll only
Your
let
little
me hold him.
demon.
He's my little you know, we got a good relationship with each other. He looks like a little soot spirit from Spirited Away is what I like to describe. He's got these big old green eyes.
That's cute.
$4.99 from Chilliwack. I stayed up all night to see where the sun went. I traveled long and far. Then it dawned on me. I'm pretty sure, here's me flexing my rare anime knowledge. I'm pretty sure this is a pun on, this name itself is that character Killua from Hunter x Hunter. And Killua, in one episode that I watched many years ago, when I was but a tot, he kills a guy by reaching into his chest and like ripping his heart out. And he shows his still beating heart to his victim. That's what I'm gonna do to you, Chilliwack, for this pun.
Damn, that's
I'm gonna
savage.
come to your house and I'm gonna kill you like that.
$4 from Juju Penguins. I'm sorry, Erika, we just can't stop gibbling you these puns. They're out to get you.
It's a low-hanging fruit. They use the Gibbon one all the time because it's like, it sounds like giving, you know, Gibbon. And so they use it all the time as if it's funny. It's not. And really it's borderline slander on Hylobattids. So watch yourself. I'll kill you with one of my Gibbon skulls. That you could use the canines as like a little knife or something. Oh wow, look at this puppy. $5 from Lairet. I'll spare you the pun and share my dog to demonstrate appreciation for both of you. Great show tonight. Your dog is adorable. And this sweet little pup is clearly, I think he's enjoying himself or herself. They're just sitting with their little paws. I love when they sit like that tucked in. Or
yeah, they look like they're smiling big.
I love that.
$5 from Joshua Everett. Erika is 9.2. Story's taller than Armagen. I hope I'm saying his name right. I didn't say it right last time, so okay.
Amargan.
We need Amargan. Okay, I got this. I know I do. He'd need a crane to say anything to her face.
No, that's true. Amargan's lucky that I didn't step on him last time we saw each other in person. I was feeling merciful that day. I do love seeing Joshua's kitty, though.
We've never met in person.
Yeah, that you know of. $4.99 from Overly Polite Rebel. Erika, sorry I misspelled your name. Is it fair to say that the Bible and coprolites are the only data sets where the context is literally layered in crap? Okay, cute cat. I like coprolites being used. Still a poop joke, so I hate it. But not necessarily, because coprolites provide valuable data in the form of telling us a lot about the diet of ancient critters. And the Bible provides valuable data in the form of some historical events, but weighted equally. We'd have to have a different conversation. Cute cat, though.
$4.99 from Silly Spaghetti. I really enjoyed tonight's show. I hope to see this duo again. Same. I'm sure it'll happen eventually.
Oh, I'm sure. 20 Canadian dollars with these. Oh, I love this duo from Ayla Ursus. I love seeing this PFP. Thanks for a great show, Erika and Taylor. Wow. Those
Thank
little
you.
sweetsters up there. That cat is so affectionate to that dog. I wish my cat and my dog
Oh,
got
I didn't
along
even
like
realize
that.
it was a dog. That's so cute.
Yeah, the cat is like nuzzling. My dogs will snuggle each other like that. Is this one you? This one's
I
you.
don't know. $5 Ali Shauna Silverbow. The Bill Nye versus Ken Ham debate was important to my eventful deconversion, especially at the end when Ken Ham said that nothing would change his mind. Yeah, I think that was like an eye-opening statement for a lot of people who were like, "Oh, damn, okay, he's set." It doesn't matter if you bring facts to the table.
I really, this is what I'm saying. Like, there are people who have made the case that it was an overall net negative. I don't think so. That's my personal opinion, and I'm biased
Yeah,
because
me
I do
neither.
the same thing, but I don't think it was a net negative.
Mm-hmm.
$4.99 from Hannah Hodgins. I'm with you, gals. I'll take Annihilation. Object. If it's hell, then I guess we'll toast together and chat about how much better Monad is than God. Save us, Monad. Save us
True.
from this Monad. The Monad. The Monad is everything and nothing, and one and zero, and infinity and nothing. So, in a way,
Oh,
this one's you.
$5 from the Atheist Mechanic. Adding for the the Monad supremacy. Monad be with all.
Jimmy needs to roll out some
True.
Monad merch because I would wear it. I think it's funny. It was such a unique set of circumstances to cap off. This was the last call we took on that 8-hour stream. It was really something
I did
else.
hear that was the last one.
It was one that we bartered for it too. And chat paid for it with actual money. And in a way I think it was worth it. It's really had some staying power. $5 from Reality Successor. A question for Stevie. If everything is designed, why is it so easy to tell that a car or building is designed over other things in nature? Wouldn't you believe it? It has to do with the fact that we've seen a human make a building and we've seen a human make a car. We've never seen a human make an
Wouldn't you
entire
know it?
ecosystem.
$5 from Andy Polaris. I can't wait till the day all of the anthropologists have to call Dr. Erika Gutsick Gibbon. Oh my god, that was a tongue twister for me.
One day, and that day is coming
Apologies.
sooner. It's coming sooner than they think. I've told people this, and I'm doing this to hold myself accountable. I'm shooting for December for graduation. I'm doing that because I think it's possible. It's not impossible. I think it's optimistic though. But if I tell myself it's got to be December, then it'll definitely be spring. But I think 4.5 years for a doctorate feels a lot better than 5. So that's what I'm shooting for. We'll see. We'll see. You guys will learn very shortly about how wonderful canine teeth are from Miocene apes. $10 from Greenman Dave can confirm Erika's incredibly tall. It's true. I'm enormous. I've got a very small torso. I'm like all leg.
$4.99 from Everly Plate Rebel. Erika is in love with that. I worked to craft puns that aligned with all your pun grievances to earn respect, yet are poo related. Did they do it?
I feel like I don't even want to dignify this one with the response because I'm still so mad at Overly Polite Rebel. I do appreciate that they changed their PFP to a cat to win me back over. It took me until just now to realize that I was so mad at you and that you're the same person. So you momentarily got my grace, but it's sort of like a negative debuff because now that I know that you tried to trick me with the cat, I don't know. It works a little bit because I do like to see the cat. This puts you close to neutral. How about that? A cat picture or a dog picture or any critter picture does a lot for getting goodwill. Folks, that's the end of the show. Let me see what's coming up next because I'm a responsible host, unlike some of our other evil hosts who forget to do this, not to name any names. Coming up this next week. Tomorrow, on the 20th, we got the Hang Up with Matt Dillahunty and Alyssa with Arden Producing. Then we got the Transatlantic Collins Show at 2 p.m. on the 21st with Josie and Ben. That's Dr. Ben. Then we got, what is this? HOSTility. Is this a new show? Morgan, is this a new show?
HOSTility. It's a show that we put on occasionally.
Oh, I don't think. Okay, well, we've got HOSTility on the 22nd. That's Friday with John Gleason and Jasper Hoffman, Arden producing. Then we have on the 24th, the Sunday show. That's Matt Dillahunty and Eric with Morgan producing and Luthien aiding, or maybe screening. We got Skeptalk next Monday with Forrest and Justin, with Morgan producing. Then we got Chewed Gum. That's a week from today with Alyssa and Taylor. Morgan's back producing again. I know he's going to be so sad that I'm not here to hold him for 3 full hours, or, God willing, 9. Then the hang up, on Wednesday with Matt Dillahunty and Arden Hart. We've got somebody else who's going to be co-hosting for that, but we don't have it on our lineup yet. That was an unintentional joke, by the way. Then we got Luxander and Dr. Ben at the Transatlantic Collins show on the 28th with Arden producing. And then the Sunday show a week from yesterday, we have Forrest and Eric with Arden and Luthien producing. Folks, that's it. I want to thank you for sticking around with us for 3 hours and 15 full minutes. I know it was a measly little morsel of a show tonight, but thank you for being here with me and Taylor. Taylor, you got anything to say before I sign us off and send us on our way?
I enjoyed it. I feel like it was a good mixture of atheists and theists. So I'm pretty happy with it.
Bug your friends. Tell them to call the show. If you argue with them all the time and you're like, I just want to make these specific points, but I'm not an expert on this issue or this issue or this issue, whatever. Send them our way. We'd love to talk to them. Mm-hmm. We're nice. We don't bite. Some of us bite. Some of us bite a little bit. But
just
in
the
meantime,
it doesn't hurt though.
It doesn't hurt. In the meantime, my gentle and of course very modern age. We'll see you real soon next time. Take care and stay curious, little primates. Love ya. I don't know what